What brought Fan Kun the greatest joy was that after slaying these monsters, his rank rose by an entire tier, advancing to the second stage of mortal transcendence. Bloodline, Human Royal/Fused Bloodline. Heavenly Hound Clan/Rank, second stage of mortal transcendence/talent. 7-star/vitality talent. 98/spirit power talent. 108. Vitality. 226029/339043/spirit power. 249102/373653/divine soul. Heavenly Spirit Sovereign. Heavenly Hound. Domain Mastery. Light Spirit Driven/Domain Mastery. Darkness Perception/Domain Mastery. Metal Perception/Domain Mastery. Fire Perception/Domain Mastery. Water Perception. Damn, is this the power that surpasses ordinary mortals at the mortal transcendence realm? Staring at his 200,000 plus vitality value and feeling the volcanic-like power surging inside him, Fan Kun believed he could smash a small mountain with one punch. If Shiba dared to test whether he possessed combat techniques right now, Fan Kun would beat him flat on the ground. If Fan Kun returned to the old blue star at this moment, he would be unmatched among mankind. Even a C4 explosive detonating right against his forehead would only ruffle his hair slightly. Awesome. No more living in constant fear. Previously, he had to stay on guard against the beast men, the dark witches, and that divination-capable turtle, always fearing he would be caught and killed. Not anymore. Tonight, I will sweep all threats far and wide. As these thoughts crossed his mind, Fan Kun prepared to leave the cave. Then something occurred to him. He brought the dawn spear crashing down, shattering the stone platform where the dark witch had stood, revealing a massive pitch-black egg. Fan Kun stepped closer and saw an adult female Fox Clan member inside. Another Fox Clan member. It seemed fate kept drawing him to Foxkind. He was debating whether to save her when the Fox woman's eyes fluttered open faintly, and then she breathed her last. All right, no more difficult choices. Still, why had the Dark Witch kept this Fox woman by her side? Had she intended to use her when she escaped later? Fan Kun frowned, deep in thought. Clearly, he could not afford to lower his guard even when facing beings who looked human or beast clan. Stepping out of the corpse-infested cave, Fan Kun quickly cleared away the rotting corpses scattered through the canyon and proceeded to the canyon entrance. By then, the sun at the far edge of the horizon shed its last ray of light. Darkness spread outward across the land like spilled ink. Standing at the canyon mouth, Fan Kun took out the 6-star purple orb dropped by the Dark Witch and opened it. 6-star Spirit Armor, Abyss-bound Darkwater Armor. Infuse Water Spirit Power to gain a 200% defensive bonus. Water Spirit Power. Fan Kun raised an eyebrow. He had assumed it was Dark Spirit Power equipment, but Water Spirit Power worked fine too. He commanded all the elements. Infusing Water Spirit Power was no trouble at all. Clad in the dark-hued abyss-bound Darkwater armor and gripping his dawn spear, Fan Kun stood firm at the valley entrance, cutting the figure of a lone warrior, holding a pass against all foes. With every corpse inside the canyon eliminated, there was no risk of monsters sneaking up on his hideout. Now he could properly greet the incoming horde of rotting corpses. Silver moonlight flooded the land. The howls of rotting corpses echoed outside the valley. Fan Kun lifted his lowered gaze, dazzling divine light welling up in his eyes to tear through a corner of the night. Come then, plague of rotting corpses. Guided by some unseen force, the rotting corpses across the canyon area began marching toward a single destination. Countless small streams of rotting corpses merged into a surging black tide. Half an hour later, the corpse horde found its outlet and poured toward the valley entrance. His spear struck like a dragon, radiating brilliant white light. The young man fought like a tiger, cutting down evil spirits. The snarls of rotting corpses and the young warrior's battle cries painted a strange scene across this night, when all living things trembled in terror. Rotting corpse remains piled high at the valley mouth. Colored orbs rolled across the mounds of bodies. Gray vapors and multicolored spirit power swirled into streams, flowing continuously into Fan Kun's body. Freed from the old limitation of cultivating vitality and spirit power separately, Fan Kun fought harder and harder the longer the battle dragged on. 1 hour into the corpse horde assault, Fan Kun advanced to the 3rd stage of mortal transcendence. More than an hour after that, he reached the 4th stage. Good grief. A night where every living creature in the region fought for survival had turned into Fan Kun's personal leveling feast. Even the fierce Shiba had holed up in his lair, anxiously waiting for the disaster to end. Truly, get ahead at one step, and every subsequent step becomes easier. The slaughter raged on. Corpses stacked higher at the valley entrance. As Fan Kuen's rank rose, the rotting corpses fell even faster. Even the black-furred gorilla's tough defenses could no longer withstand a casual strike from him. One thing, however, took Fan Kuen by surprise. He had expected to defeat more dark witches tonight and loot high-grade gear. Instead, upon witnessing how ferocious Fan Kuen was, the witches all fled far away. Ugh, watching those walking treasures slip away filled Fan Kuen with frustration. Yet he dared not leave the valley mouth to chase them. The corpse horde targeted his hideout, and inside waited only a little fox, alongside 2 rabbits, 2 young boars, and their mother. Several hours passed. Midnight arrived, and a strange ripple swept across heaven and earth. The rotting corpses, whose eyes had blazed red with murderous frenzy, suddenly lost their urge to attack and returned to aimless wandering. Punctual as always, exactly 10 days as promised. Many Beast Clan members across the region, locked in deadly combat or desperate flight, were thus spared. Fan Kuen swiftly cleared the remaining rotting corpses at the canyon entrance. His cultivation settled at the 5th stage of mortal transcendence. Bloodline, human royal/fused bloodline. Heavenly Hound clan/rank. 5th stage of mortal transcendence/talent. 7-star/vitality talent. 98/spirit power talent. 108. Vitality. 83789/1144-270/spirit power. 885685/1261078/divine soul. Heavenly Spirit Sovereign, Heavenly Hound. Domain Mastery, Light Spirit Driven/Domain Mastery. Darkness Perception/Domain Mastery. Metal Perception/Domain Mastery. Fire Perception/Domain Mastery. Water Perception. Truly worthy of mortal transcendence realm. Vitality and spirit power caps exceeding 1 million were forces ordinary mortals could only dream of. Only a few days ago he had rejoiced at breaking the 10,000 threshold. Now his values neared 1 million. On his way back, Fan Kuen detoured to the underground cavern beneath the canyon. It stood empty, not a single rotting corpse remained. Without the dark witch present, the cave had evidently lost its ability to spawn rotting corpses. Still, countless rotting corpses lingered across the wider region. Many corpse-spawning caves still held dark witches, and those would be Fan Kuen's priority targets going forward. Wait, he recalled a line from an earlier regional notice mentioning the first layer of the corpse cave. Could there be a second layer? Fan Kuen re-examined the cave behind the stone wall, but found nothing. Very well, perhaps the second layer had yet to unlock. Back at his hideout, little fox Lu Yunxi sat forlornly by the entrance. Catching sight of Fan Kuen returning, her sleepy eyes lit up instantly. "My lord, are the monsters gone?" "They are," Fan Kuen said, patting her small head. "I thought you would have fallen asleep." "Not at all." Lu Yunxi waved her hands joyfully. "I waited for you to return victorious. We are going to roast pork together." Huh. Children really remembered every word spoken to them. "Right, I almost forgot. Where's the pig?" "We'll roast it right now." Fan Kuen told Lu Yunxi to bring the boar into the library chamber for roasting. He planned to let the little fox unpack the loot orbs while the meat cooked. He poured tens of thousands of glowing orbs out of his storage space, and Lu Yunxi walked in carrying the full-grown sow. Fan Kuen stared in shock. A little girl no older than 6 lifting a several hundred-gene sow with both hands. If she attended kindergarten on Blue Star, every teacher would be utterly astonished. Young Beast Clan members were terrifyingly strong. Lu Yunxi stepped into the library chamber and gaped. It felt like entering a dragon's horde. Tens of thousands of multicolored orbs nearly blinded her. "Wow, my lord, you are incredible." The little fox pinned the struggling sow beneath her and gasped, hands covering her mouth. This was why Fan Kuen liked the little fox. She was adorable, well-behaved, and always gave such heartfelt reactions. "There will be even more to come." Fan Kuen nodded toward the sow, trying to wriggle free, reminding her of their task. "All right." Lu Yunxi seized the sow's ear, drew the dagger Fan Kuen had given her, and drove it into the animal's neck. She efficiently slit its throat, drained the blood, and removed the innards in one fluid sequence. Wow, that smooth display completely changed Fan Kuen's impression of her. One moment she seemed utterly cute, the next she was impressively capable. After stacking firewood, she scratched her head and looked toward Fan Kuen. "My lord, do you have fire?" Time for him to show off. Fan Kuen snapped his fingers, and spirit power flames bloomed in his palm. "Wow." The little fox clapped excitedly and gave him a thumbs up. Fan Kuen sighed to himself. Commanding so many types of spirit power made daily life far more convenient. On busy mornings, he could even fry an egg in his palm if he wanted. The sow turned over in the flames. Orange firelight reflected in Lu Yunqi's clear eyes as she sat like an ordinary human child, mouth watering for dinner. It's cooking too slowly. Lu Yunqi stepped forward and slashed several deep cuts into the meat with her dagger. Right. This was a Beast Clan child after all. Lu Yunqi turned the roasting sow, opened loot orbs one after another, and kept talking. My lord, when can I go out and cultivate beside you? Fan Kuan paused scrolling through regional messages and thought it over. He had not brought Lu Yunqi along before, partly because he worried she would slow his combat progress, and partly because he could not guarantee her safety amid battle. But now things were different. He lifted his gaze. Tomorrow I will take you out. Great. At last I can cultivate just like you. Light sparkled in Lu Yunqi's eyes. She clapped her thigh with one hand while turning the pig with the other. A faint smile tugged at Fan Kuan's lips, watching her cheerful expression. He could afford to relax a little before the next disaster arrived. Speaking of disasters, Fan Kuan remembered the regional notice. The higher a hideout's rank, the more monsters it attracted. Lu Yunqi's old cave had drawn the ghost bride early on. Could its rank have been exceptionally high? Back then he had been focused on survival and hurrying back, never checking its properties, and afterward it had slipped his mind. He had also avoided bringing up her past in front of her. Do you remember what your old cave's special property was? Fan Kuan asked casually. Lu Yunqi tilted her head, pressing a finger to her chin as she thought. I believe it was bloodline fusion. That sounded quite powerful. Fan Kuan knew, however, that no such property existed among the innermost zone caves. How exactly did the fusion work? Lu Yunqi tilted her head further, trying to recall. 3 low-grade bloodline essences of the same race could fuse into one bloodline essence of the next higher rank. I see. Fan Kuan pondered. Low-rank 1-star and 2-star bloodline essences would gradually grow more common, yet gathering 3 of the same race for each upgrade would be slow. Reaching 7-star quality would demand 729 1-star essences from the same race. No wonder that cave property never appeared in the innermost zone. Compared to his own bloodline ability, it lagged far behind both in early-stage growth speed and upper-limit potential. Still, it would prove useful for Lu Yunqi's current stage. He would find an opportunity to relocate that cave to this canyon. My lord, how do you fight rotting corpses? Lu Yunqi brandished her dagger. Do you stab their necks? Aim for the eye sockets. Drive your dagger into an eye socket and twist, and the corpse will fall. Fan Kuan pictured future training sessions with her. He would cripple weaker monsters and push them toward Lu Yunqi so she could deliver the finishing blow. Lu Yunqi imagined herself leaping nimbly among rotting corpses, driving her dagger into eye sockets, engaged in glorious cultivation-driven combat. Fan Kuan glanced at her glowing eyes and returned to scrolling regional chat. Where was the disaster settlement announcement? The pork was nearly done. He asked Xiao Yin, doesn't the system evaluate everyone's performance and hand out rewards after a disaster ends? Why have we not seen the notice yet? Xiao Yin pressed her lips together, answering with some hesitation. My lord, the evaluation is still in progress. Evaluation still in progress? Had so many Beast Clan members survived that the heavenly administrators were swamped with work? Fan Kuan pictured powerful heavenly beings inspecting every cave one by one. Well, this was no perfectly timed video game system. Even administrators could have delays. As long as rewards came eventually, Fan Kuan felt confident he would place within the region's top 3. While waiting, he browsed regional chat and checked on his acquaintances to see who had survived. Regional chat channel. Zhang Ada, are you still alive? It's your old friend. / by the beast god. That final night was horrifying. Hordes of rotting corpses stormed my hideout. / yet here you are chatting. / the corpses have retreated now. I'm back again. So many must have perished. Many voices calling for help have gone silent. / the Wolf Clan's Heavenly Wolf Alliance fought as one. Not a single member died. All races welcome to join. / why would I join the Wolf Clan to work for them? I'm waiting for our Great Ox Clan leader to form a faction. Yes, I await the Great Horse Clan leader to build power. / we Fox Clan members wait for Lord Fan Kuan. Fan Kuan quickly typed messages. Ruer, are you alright? Meyer, did you get hurt? Duoer, were you badly frightened? Ganger, Gongzi, are you still alive? Thankfully, all his acquaintances had survived. Fox Clan members really knew how to keep safe. Scanning the chat, Fan Kuan noticed far fewer replies from the Bear Clan. Presumably many had perished charging head-on against rotting corpses. Beast Clan survivors chatted among themselves, comforting each other and rejoicing over being alive. No one noticed the bizarre transformations unfolding in the sky above the hideouts. Lightning, hurricanes, torrential rain, and raging fire clashed wildly, streaked with occasional golden radiance. Clouds swirled into beast shapes, then morphed into human faces. Winds howled and storms raged, as if mighty powers argued furiously above. An hour passed before the celestial phenomena calmed. Just as the winds died away, a bolt of lightning crashed down, shattering condensed spirit energy hovering above a lake. A peal of thunder jolted Lu Yunxi, making her drop the roasting meat. Fan Kuan judged the sound came from the direction of the canyon lake. Then the system announcement echoed. Regional notice. This round of disaster has concluded. The top 3 hideouts ranked by comprehensive strength are Fan Kuan, Yinjiao, Shiba. Rewards for the top 100 participants have been deposited directly into storage spaces. The second disaster will commence in 3 days. Disaster, 10 suns hanging in the sky. Heavenly order phrase. 10 suns will hang high in the sky, scorching the land until rivers dry. Your cave is your only refuge. Raise its rank. Higher-ranked caves better withstand extreme heat. Note: no night shall fall in the world 3 days from now. A regional contest will launch simultaneously in 3 days and last 10 days. Victory is decided by contest points. Winners of the contest may freely enter the opposing region in the next interregional war. Losers can only defend and cannot invade the opposing region. Contest points derive from 2 sources. First, total rotting corpses eliminated by all cultivators within your region. Second, the combined strength of the region's top 100 cultivators, converted into points when the contest ends. Our Region 43, is matched against Region 42. Dominant race of Region 42, C-Clan. C-Clan. Fan Kuan's eyes widened. Were they going to face Su-ruling overlords or trident-wielding warriors? So much new information flooded his mind. Elsewhere, Region 68, one of the Blue Star origin regions. Damn it, fellow humans. What are these beast clan creatures? Green-skinned brutes wielding axes? Unbelievable. I expected to fight other human nations, but instead we get Beast Clan. Quit panicking. I'm 5th stage of initiation. I can smash boulders with one hand. Why fear beasts? Everyone stay calm. Winning this contest is critical. Otherwise the Beast Clan can invade and slaughter us next cycle. Are you all blind? We are facing a rotting corpse disaster right now. Stop rambling about Beast Clan and think about how to survive. Does anyone know what rotting corpses are? Are they some variant of zombies? Exactly. Worry about the corpses instead of hypothetical beasts. They are rotting corpses, not zombies. Not as aggressive during daytime, according to the notice. What about nighttime? What if they smash our cave doors down? Grab an axe and fight back. We are cultivators now. And remember, eliminating corpses earns contest points. If we slack off, the Beast Clan will pour into our region next time. I originally planned to hole up in the manor for 10 days waiting out the corpse plague. But for the victory of the region, I've decided to head out during the day to clear the corrupted corpses. Fellow clansmen, for the tribe, charge. Has the next wave of the plague turned into monster hunting and leveling up? I'm so hyped. Zhao Hao from Lingtian's sect, 7-star talent, 9th layer of the Initiate Realm. Now recruiting faction members. Cultivators above the 6th layer of the Initiate Realm may private message me to join. Let's stand together against the corrupted corpses. Wow, a 7-star genius. I want in. I'm joining too. Everyone be careful. This guy is a scammer. All the people replying in support are his alternate accounts. When you message him privately, he'll ask you to pay a 2,000 spirit crystal membership fee up front. Don't get tricked. Fan Tianji stared blankly at the words corpse plague for a long time. Though the 10 suns in the sky had set, bringing a rare cool midnight to the region, it did nothing to stop the cold sweat beating on his forehead. Fan Tianji. Old girl, the corrupted corpse plague is coming. Ningxia. Are you scared? Fan Tianji. Is it the kind where one bite turns you into a zombie? Ningxia. How would I know? I've never been bitten. Fan Tianji. Then this might be pretty dangerous. Ningxia. Nothing to fear. Your wife just ranked top 100 in the region. I'm a decent expert now. In 3 days I'll head out first to scout the path and update you on everything. If things go south, abandon your wooden house and come straight to me. Fan Tianji. Alright, I wonder if Kuan is out there alone, scared. Fan Kuan munched on grilled meat while browsing the light screen's messages. The Sea Clan, interesting. Several subsequent regional announcements caught Fan Kuan's full attention, making him even ignore the rewards resting in his storage space for the moment. From the regional competition rules, if the Beast Clan wins this round, they can take the initiative to invade the Sea Clan's territory in the next round. If they lose, the Sea Clan will seize the initiative and move freely within their territory. The outcome of this round is absolutely critical. One side gains unassailable dominance, while the other is forced into passive defense. Even if we win, though, are we supposed to march into the sea next round? Unlikely. The Sea Clan's shelters must still be on land, or at the very least in shallow waters. They have to be amphibian creatures, otherwise they could never drag their fishtails all the way into this canyon. Still, this round doesn't pressure me much. Win or lose, it's fine. We're not fighting human cultivators here. If it were humans, I'd have to hold back a little. After all, everyone in this doomsday realm is a fellow human, no matter where they're from. Forget it, no more overthinking. Time to open my rewards. Boosting my own strength is the fundamental priority. Fan Kuan opened his storage space, where 4 light orbs lay quietly inside. 1 3-star yellow orb, 1 3-star green orb, 1 5-star red orb, and 1 5-star purple orb. Eyes fixed on the blood-red, glowing 5-star orb. Fan Kuan skipped the other 3 and reached out to open it directly. 5-star red orb grants 5 types of beast clan blood essence. Choose 1. Silver Moon Sky Wolf Clan, Dark Golden Bear Clan, Azure Void Black Turtle Clan, Golden Lion Clan, Nine-Tailed Sky Fox Clan. 5 bloodline options to choose from. Fan Kuan had been worrying earlier. If the 5-star orb didn't contain Nine-Tailed Sky Fox essence, he'd have no way to explain himself to his Fox Clan admirers. Fortunately, this reward fits perfectly. Truth be told, if he hadn't publicized his identity as the Nine-Tailed Sky Fox Fan Kuan to raise spirit crystals for upgrading his dwelling, he would have preferred the more combat-focused Silver Moon Sky Wolf or Golden Lion bloodlines. The Dark Golden Bear clan also boasted formidable combat power, but Fan Kuan didn't want to run into Shiba later and end up awkwardly being clan brothers. Fan Kuan shook his head with a grin and selected the Nine-Tailed Sky Fox blood essence. A crystal-clear blood-red agate materialized before him. At the same time, Xiaoying's voice rang out. Master, do you wish to replace your current bloodline immediately? Fan Kuan did not answer right away. He stared intently at the blood-red agate. This was genuine 6-star Nine-Tailed Sky Fox blood essence, the royal bloodline of the Fox tribe. 1 more star upgrade, and it would be the true celestial Fox bloodline of transformed and enlightened supreme beings. And I can upgrade this bloodline 6 times in total. Unimaginable. Fan Kuan took a deep breath and opened his status panel to check the differences before and after the transformation. Bloodline. Human royal. Fused bloodline. Heavenly Go clan. Realm. 5th layer of the transcendent mortal realm. Talent. 7-star. Physique talent. 98. Spirit talent. 108. Vitality. 8378992/1144270. Spirit energy. 885685/1261078. Divine Soul. Spirit Sovereign. Heavenly Go. Elemental Mastery. Light Spirit Control. Elemental Mastery. Darkness Perception. Elemental Mastery. Metal Perception. Elemental Mastery. Fire Perception. Elemental Mastery. Water Perception. A smile tugged at Fan Kuan's lips. He shouted eagerly, "Replace." In an instant, the blood-red agate merged into his body. Heavenly spiritual energy surged like crashing tides, and the light screen's text flashed rapidly. Bloodline replacement successful. Bloodline upgrade count reset. Detected host shelter has reached level 6. 6 additional bloodline upgrades unlocked. Nine-Tailed Sky Fox bloodline upgraded to Nine-Tailed Sky Fox Royal. Nine-Tailed Sky Fox Royal upgraded to Nine-Tailed Sky Fox Emperor. Nine-Tailed Sky Fox Emperor upgraded to Nine-Tailed Sky Fox Divine. Detected host bloodline has reached the peak 9-star Divine rank. Remaining 3 units of Heavenly Spiritual Essence converted into 1 Creator-grade Divine Soul Reforge. The space trembled violently, and Heavenly Spiritual energy flooded in like a tsunami. Immediately, sacred heavenly chants echoed through the void, summoning Heavenly Divine Radiance, invoking the Supreme Mortal Sovereign, Blaze Sovereign. Spatial tremors intensified. All fire spiritual energy between heaven and earth converged frantically, guided by divine will. Moments later, a towering figure wearing a flat heavenly crown, vermilion ceremonial robes, and wielding a giant ruler manifested in the 9 heavens. Then it plunged into Fan Kuan's spiritual platform like a blazing meteor. Fan Kuan's spiritual platform felt immensely heavy, as if a sacred mountain had descended upon it. Meanwhile, the Heavenly Go Phantom in his spiritual platform gradually faded away. In its place, a 9-tailed silver fox stepped over stars from the distant void, slowly approaching. Its body was as grand and radiant as the night moon. As it drew near, Its colossal form shrank steadily until it merged entirely into Fan Kuen's spiritual platform. 9-star talent, the peak divine bloodline of the Beast Clan, divine nine-tailed sky fox. Fan Kuen's spiritual platform felt on the verge of splitting apart. Even peerless geniuses with 9-star talent could only sustain one divine soul in their spiritual platform at most. Yet now, 3 supreme-grade divine souls stood tall within his spiritual platform. He weakly struggled a little, a smile on his lips, before slowly collapsing unconscious. In a distant territory, Shiba stared excitedly at the dark golden bear clan blood essence before him. His third-place finish in the first plague settlement rankings was all thanks to breaking through to the transcendent mortal realm right before nightfall on the final day. Otherwise, this precious bloodline upgrade opportunity would have slipped through his fingers entirely. He swallowed the blood essence, and his physical body underwent another tremendous transformation. Bloodline, Dark Golden Bear Clan Emperor, Realm, first layer of the transcendent mortal realm, talent, 8-star. Physique talent, 231, Spirit talent, 10, Vitality, 177608/532824, Spirit energy, 7688/23064, Divine Soul, Dark Golden Bear. Elemental Mastery, Metal Spirit Control, Elemental Mastery, Water Perception, Elemental Mastery, Earth Perception. After the physical transformation, Shiba's physique grew even more robust. Standing 2.3 meters tall, his short hair glinted with golden light, and his deep amber eyes became more profound. Dark Golden Bear Emperor Bloodline, a legendary bear clan bloodline that had never once appeared across the entire Azeroth continent. After an unknown amount of time, Fan Kuen finally woke from endless darkness. He glanced at the little fox sleeping soundly on his lap, shifted his body, and sat up slowly. The first thing he did upon waking was open his status panel. Bloodline, Human Royal, Fused Bloodline, Nine-Tailed Sky Fox Clan Divine, Realm, 5th layer of the Transcendent Mortal Realm. Talent, 9-star, Physique Talent, 337, Spirit Talent, 108, Vitality, 837892/3935206, Spirit Energy, 885685/1261078. Divine Soul, Spirit Sovereign Sealed, Blaze Sovereign Sealed, Nine-Tailed Sky Fox, Elemental Mastery, Light Spirit Control, Elemental Mastery, Darkness Perception, Elemental Mastery, Metal Perception, Elemental Mastery, Fire Spirit Control, Elemental Mastery, Water Spirit Control. Nearly 4 million vitality points. Fan Kuen almost fainted again. He should have waited until the 9th layer of the Transcendent Mortal Realm to absorb the essence. Still, he finally understood why peerless geniuses could challenge opponents across realms, even multiple realms above their own, and why the power gap between cultivators widened drastically in the later stages of cultivation. It all came down to talent. The gap between an ordinary 6-star Royal Beast Clan bloodline and a 9-star Supreme bloodline was insurmountable, let alone bloodlines below 6-star rank. Once a talent advantage starts snowballing, no amount of hard work can ever make up the difference. Innate talent truly decides everything. Xiaoyin, why are my Spirit Sovereign and Blaze Sovereign Divine Souls sealed? Fan Kuen asked. Master, it is because your current cultivation realm is too low. Hey. Xiaoyin's figure suddenly flickered, her eyes losing all luster in an instant. What's going on? Did I ask something wrong? Just as Fan Kuen frowned in confusion, Xiaoyin's voice returned. I am back. Huh. Staring at the strange glint in Xiaoyin's eyes, Fan Kuen felt something was off. It was like a sudden signal disconnection, instantly reconnected. He was about to repeat his question when Xiaoyin spoke first. If you are the first to advance to the domain transformation realm, you will obtain a... Xiaoyin flickered again. Wait, don't cut out now. Moments later, Xiaoyin stabilized once more and finished her sentence. You will obtain the 9-star Spatial Divine Art. What? A 9-star Spatial Divine Art? Fan Kuen's mind went blank. Even with his greedy and bold personality, he thought this reward was ridiculously overpowered. Senior, Fan Kuen almost bowed to Xiaoyin. What exactly does this divine art do? The moment he asked the question, Xiaoyin's form began trembling violently, like a spiritual core overloaded beyond its limit. Her body trembled and fractured, yet her voice slowly echoed out. Transcend boundaries and descend early. Slumbering foes may be slain, their treasures seized. Transcend boundaries and descend early? Does that mean I can enter the next layer of the corrupted corpse caves ahead of time? Fan Kuen's eyes blazed with light. pressing urgently. Are you saying that after mastering this divine art, I can teleport to the next layer of the corpse caves in advance, while all the enemies there are still dormant? See, only Xiaoyin's head remained visible. What rewards can I get from advancing early? Fan Kuan asked hastily. Supreme, divine, treasures. The moment the words faded, Xiaoyin vanished completely. Hey, don't disappear on me. Fan Kuan called out loudly. Boom. Crack. Thunder exploded across the sky. Wind and clouds roiled above the canyon. As ice, flame, sharp metal, and dark spiritual energy surged and collided wildly in the heavens. Resounding with indistinct human-like voices. This old fox, scheming again, damn you. Xiaoyin? Xiaoyin. Fan Kuan called cautiously toward the sky. After calling 81 times, Xiaoyin finally reappeared. Greetings, master. Xiaoyin bowed gracefully. Phew, my familiar Xiaoyin is back. Whatever just happened doesn't matter. This is already amazing enough. He gently lifted the little fox's head off his lap, propped it up with a piece of armor, then stood up and stretched, walking toward the mirror in the scripture pavilion. Xiaoyin, how long was I asleep? Master, you slept for 10 hours. Xiaoyin handed him a secret manual, Persuasive Speech Arts. Wow, really? Total loss of favor now. Fan Kuan shook his head helplessly. Wait a minute. Fan Kuan froze the second he stood before the mirror. Who is this person staring back at me? Shining silver long hair fell over his shoulders, his brow bones slightly chiseled, paired with deep ice blue eyes brimming with profound depth. His skin was fair and flawless, and every subtle frown exuded peerless, transcendent beauty. The facial features were still his own, but silver hair and blue eyes? Is this really me? Fan Kuan's voice trembled slightly. Xiaoyin, am I still human? Xiaoyin pursed her lips and replied. Master, not for the time being. What? Fan Kuan turned to stare at her. Why? Master, your human representing Spirit Sovereign and Blaze Sovereign Divine Souls are currently sealed. All living beings will only perceive your nine-tailed sky fox identity for now. Oh, it's just a temporary seal. That's fine, as long as I can revert to being human later. Can I change my hair color back to black later? He still preferred his original black hair. Master, the little fox's voice rang out from behind him. You've changed. Lu Yunxi rubbed her eyes, stood up quickly, and trotted over to Fan Kuan. She tilted her head and stared closely at him, astonishment in her eyes. Master, did you advance your bloodline? What makes her think that? Just because my hair turned white? Fan Kuan bent down and stroked the little fox's head gently, asking warmly, what differences do you feel? Lu Yunxi held her chin and observed carefully for a long while. You feel just like the nine-tailed sky fox deity I saw in my dreams. The divine fox from her dreams, ahem. Is it my aura that's different? Fan Kuan prompted. Yes. Lu Yunxi nodded vigorously. I suddenly feel like kneeling before you right now. Is this the legendary Supreme Monarch aura? Nice. Fan Kuan smiled in satisfaction. Since you're awake, let's open the remaining 3 reward orbs together. Yay. Lu Yunxi loved opening treasure orbs, especially high-grade ones. Fan Kuan took out the 5-star purple orb and gestured for Lu Yunxi to open it. 5-star spirit weapon, Blaze Moon Slayer. Infusing fire spirit energy boosts attack power by 100%. A crescent blade shimmering with dark red light materialized before them. What a beautiful blade! Lu Yunxi exclaimed in delight. You like it? Fan Kuan looked at the little fox in surprise. Lu Yunxi stroked the blade gently and nodded. Fan Kuan had always pictured Lu Yunxi as a mage or archer supporting him from the rear, elegant and graceful in combat. A giant crescent blade, though, he struggled to imagine this petite little girl wielding a massive greatsword in battle, charging fearlessly through enemy lines. But then he remembered how fiercely she'd butchered the wild boar the night before. Oh right, this suits her personality perfectly. A thought crossed his mind, and he asked curiously, Yunxi, I only ate 2 pork trotters before I passed out last night. What happened to the rest of the meat? I ate it. Lu Yunxi patted her slightly bulging stomach. Fan Kuan stared at her in shock. You finished all of it? Lu Yunxi lowered her head shyly. I haven't had enough to eat lately. All right. Kids need plenty of food to grow. I'll hunt wild boars for you every day from now on. Just don't eat me. Fan Kuan thought amusingly to himself. Next, the two opened the remaining 2 orbs. The yellow orb yielded an acre of spirit soil, and the green orb produced a bag of coagulating vine seeds, a key ingredient for crafting healing potions. Finally, Fan Kuan could produce healing potions in his spirit pharmacy. This blade is yours. Fan Kuan waved the blade toward the little fox. As a Red Spirit Fox clansman who cultivated fire's spiritual energy after breaking through to the transcendent mortal realm, this weapon was perfect for her. Thank you, Master. Lu Yunxi gripped the blade and began swinging it around joyfully. Fan Kuan leaned back hastily to dodge a stray slash, narrowly avoiding getting struck in his own residence. He retreated to the corner of the scripture pavilion, watching the little girl practice with the great sword while sorting out his plans. Two priorities stood above all else right now. First, keep clearing corrupted corpses to level up, and strive to be the first to reach the domain transformation realm. That 9-star spatial divine art reward was far too precious to miss. Second, recruit faction members to prepare for upgrading his dwelling. Fan Kuan recalled that upgrading his residence into a small city required not only 1,000 affiliated caves, but also a full city core saturated with vitality orbs. Recruiting subordinates to farm corrupted corpses together would drastically boost efficiency. Alright, time to establish my faction. Fan Kuan took out the faction token he'd stored in his space long ago. He no longer worried about the Divine Turtle's divination ability tracking him down. Tomorrow marked the 3rd divination day for the Divine Turtle. But now, who in the entire Beast clan would dare deny my status as a royal clan member? Fan Kuan glanced at his reflection in the mirror, silver hair, blue eyes, the peerless divine 9-tailed sky fox, royalty among royalty. He could reveal his supreme talent techniques, if necessary. He was genuinely curious what revelation the Divine Turtle's divination would bring tomorrow. He tapped to activate the faction token. Please name your faction. The name will be announced across the entire region upon confirmation. What name should I choose? It needs to embody both Fox Clan and human traits, since I'll recruit human cultivators sooner or later. Clumsy, aggressive names like Wolf Alliance were out of the question. Sky Fox, Heavenly Sovereign. Fan Kuan tilted his head and thought for a long moment. Heavenly Court? No, that's far too arrogant. Watching Lu Yunxi joyfully practicing with the great sword in the scripture pavilion, a name suddenly popped into his head, Blissful Valley. This name seems a bit likely to draw unwanted attention. Need to change it. Let's go with. Regional announcement. Cultivator Fan Kuan has established a force, Heavenly Palace. Regional announcement. Cultivator Fan Kuan has established a force, Heavenly Palace. Regional announcement. Cultivator Fan Kuan has established a force, Heavenly Palace. After the 3-time regional notification, the group chat erupted. Lord Fan Kuan has finally founded his force. I, Lu Shilai of the Azure Fox clan, will be the first to join. Wow, it's Lord Fan Kuan. Please accept me, my lord. Heavenly Palace, a palace of the heavens. Lord Fan Kuan has magnificent ambition. Mayor of the Silver Fox clan applies for membership. Please send me a private message, my lord. Lord Fan Kuan, can non-Fox clansfolk join your Heavenly Palace? Fellow Fox clansfolk of the region, let us all join Heavenly Palace. May our lord prevail. May the Fox clan prosper. Watching the flood of scrolling messages in the chat, Fan Kuan felt confident he would easily gather his 1,000 subordinates. Still, to reach his goal as quickly as possible, he sent a message in the group. I, Fan Kuan of the 9-tailed Heavenly Fox clan, hereby establish the force, Heavenly Palace. I invite clansfolk of the Fox race and Beast race to join us. Glory to the Beast race. Victory to the Beast race. Having sent the message, he ignored the enthusiastic replies pouring in and opened the newly added faction shop beside the Spirit Crystal store to examine it. The faction shop interface displayed 3 categories: basic items, secret manuals, and equipment. He opened the basic items tab: identity talisman, chi blood orb, shelter teleportation scroll. Why are there no prices listed? Fan Kuan tilted his head. Master, as the faction ruler, you may take any goods within the faction shop at will. What? No cost at all? Fan Kuan's eyes lit up. He quickly opened the Secret Manuals tab. Secret Manuals. None. He then checked the Equipment tab. Equipment. None. What is this supposed to mean? Xiaoyin smiled gently. Items in the faction shop only appear once the faction ruler places them inside, or faction members donate them. Take Secret Manuals as an example. If you place an used secret manual orbs into the library, that manual will become available in the faction shop for faction members to exchange using faction contribution points. Likewise, faction members may donate unwanted secret manuals to the library in return for contribution points. The same rule applies to equipment. So this shop exists for the benefit of the members. Fan Kuan clicked on Identity Talisman and Chi, Blood Orb respectively, only to see both marked as quantity, 0. Where do I obtain Identity Talismans and Chi Blood Orbs? Fan Kuan pointed toward the light screen. Master, you may use the small forging chamber within your dwelling. Consume 10 units of spirit crystals, and I can forge one such item for you. So everything still costs me resources. Being a faction ruler is quite resource-intensive. Do I also need to pay for forging shelter teleportation scrolls? Fan Kuan had a premonition his spirit crystal reserves would soon run low. That is correct, Master. A shelter teleportation scroll can relocate a subordinate's shelter within your faction's territory, but the energy cost for such a transfer is substantial. Forging one scroll requires 2,000 units of spirit crystals. What? 2,000 spirit crystals per scroll? If I wish to recruit a minimum of 1,000 affiliated dwellings, that would amount to 2 million spirit crystals just for the scrolls. On top of that, upgrading to a small city will cost over 2 million more materials. Only 7 days have passed since I upgraded my grand dwelling. With daily earnings of 250,000 spirit crystals, my current reserves are less than 2 million. Xiao, after they join my faction, must they relocate their dwellings here? Is there a way for them to stay where they are? Master, after subordinates drip their blood onto an identity talisman, they must relocate their dwellings into your faction territory within 3 days. Otherwise, they will permanently lose their shelters. Good heavens, that is incredibly strict. What constraints do I hold over these recruits once they are under my command? Fan Kuan had no intention of spending 2 million spirit crystals just to gather a crowd who would disperse after a short while. Though becoming a faction ruler was every cultivator's dream, he would not foolishly throw away his resources. Master, when subordinates drip their blood onto an identity talisman, they enter into a heavenly covenant. Should they abandon or betray the faction afterward, they will permanently lose their foundations, their shelters. You mean they can never betray or leave the faction for their entire lives? Fan Kuan winced at the harsh terms, though he recognized this binding agreement required no renewal whatsoever. Xiao nodded. That is correct, Master. Betrayal is forbidden for life. What if I perish? All dwellings within the faction territory will be annihilated. Hiss, a heavy feeling settled over Fan Kuan. He pictured a catastrophic scene. A mighty ruler commanding countless lives falls in battle, and every dwelling within his realm collapses into ruin. It seemed, for the sake of his followers' safety and livelihoods, he must do everything to stay alive. Very well, his doubts were laid to rest. Costly as it was, every recruit signed an irreversible lifelong covenant. Losing one's shelter carried terrible consequences in this apocalyptic world. Fan Kuan knew full well he had survived 4 consecutive regional notifications thanks to his powerful dwelling and its facilities, most notably the spirit cultivation chamber. Most importantly, without a shelter, even he would have perished amid the corrupted corpse calamity. Ambitious and powerful individuals would never risk losing their shelters, while those lacking strength posed no real threat of betrayal. This was no blue star, where a single blade could tip the scales of fate. Now that his worries were gone, recruitment would begin at once. Fan Kuan set a goal, to upgrade to a small city during the second celestial calamity, and to be the first in this region to achieve it. He had confidence in his plan. Though the Sirius Alliance had begun recruiting subordinates days earlier, they would still face enormous spirit crystal shortages even if they filled their ranks. This required millions of spirit crystals. Without spirit crystal mines, they would need to convert tens of millions of basic resources. Of course, it was possible the Wolf clan was united, with every subordinate donating spirit crystals to Yin Jiao of the Sirius clan for his dwelling upgrade. Fan Kuan, however, possessed 5 super-grade spirit crystal mines. In an emergency, detonating just one mine would supply all the spirit crystals he needed. Furthermore, the city core required qi, blood orbs filled with corrupted corpse vital energy. Fan Kuan's efficiency in clearing corrupted corpses alone matched that of 100 Wolf clan cultivators. Thinking of this, he stroked his chin. Unconsciously, he had grown this powerful. Now his primary task was rapid recruitment. As for spirit crystals, an idea flashed through his mind. Admission fees. Anyone wishing to join Heavenly Palace would pay 2,000 spirit crystals as an admission fee. That would immediately solve the 2 million spirit crystal problem. Yes, that was the plan. But who would collect the fees? As a noble of the Divine Nine-tailed Heavenly Fox clan, he could not stand at the canyon pass like a ticket collector. That would damage his dignity. Fan Kuan glanced toward Lu Yunxi, brimming with energy and enthusiasm. This important task would fall to her. Yunxi. Yes. Lu Yunxi immediately sheathed her blade, cheeks flushed, and hurried over. What do you need, my lord? I have an important mission for you. Fan Kuan regarded the young fox with a solemn expression. Lu Yunqi stood straight, gripping her blade. Speak, my lord. I have founded my own faction today, Heavenly Palace. Many clansfolk are submitting applications to join. However, all applicants must pass a small assessment. We need to test their sincerity and keep potential spies out of Heavenly Palace. Therefore, you will serve as the chief examiner. Chief examiner? Lu Yunqi's eyes lit up, and she swallowed eagerly. Does that mean I get to test them? What? Girl, these are your own clansfolk. Fan Kuan pressed one hand to his forehead and rephrased his words. Not that kind of test. We are checking whether they are willing to pay spirit crystals. Oh, I understand now, my lord. Lu Yunqi tilted her chin in realization. Those who pay get in, those who don't are rejected. Very well. Fan Kuan thought dealing with this young girl did not require complicated explanations. As long as she remembered to collect the spirit crystals, all would be fine. Xiaoyin, forge 100 identity talismans, chi blood orbs, and shelter teleportation scrolls for me. We will begin recruitment today. Soon, the first identity talisman and shelter teleportation scroll were completed. Fan Kuan caught them, running his thumb over the surface of the talisman. He knelt down and looked gravely at Lu Yunqi. Yunqi, are you willing to join my faction? I am. Lu Yunqi nodded without hesitation. Think carefully. Once you join, you may never leave. My life was saved by you, my lord. I will never abandon you. Fan Kuan ruffled her hair. Drawing his crescent blade, he nicked her thumb and let her blood drip onto the identity talisman. Ripples spread across the surface of the artifact. Thus, Heavenly Palace gained its very first official subordinate. Lu Yunqi then activated her shelter teleportation scroll to relocate her dwelling. Fan Kuan discovered he could designate the exact location for each affiliated dwelling. He placed Lu Yunqi's dwelling right beside his own and checked its attributes. Dwelling attribute, bloodline fusion. 3 portions of low-rank bloodline essence from the same race may be combined to produce 1 portion of higher-rank bloodline essence. Maximum fusion rank, 6 star. Quite formidable. It could generate bloodline essence equivalent to that of ordinary nobles, allowing ordinary beast race members to gradually advance toward noble status. What would happen if I absorbed this dwelling? The thought crossed Fan Kuan's mind before he dismissed it. Absorbing a dwelling required either killing its owner or claiming an unoccupied site. Though he was no longer human, he would not commit such an act. Fan Kuan upgraded Lu Yunqi's dwelling to a medium-sized one. Upon completion, her dwelling spirit manifested. Fan Kuan stared in surprise. The dwelling spirit bore his own appearance. He glanced at Lu Yunqi, who scratched her head in equal confusion. Well, it was understandable for a young admirer to model her spirit after her idol. Fan Kuan did not order it changed. He reviewed her responsibilities once more. He explained how to act as his representative in the group chat, what messages to send, and which points to emphasize. Stressed the collection of spirit crystals before finalizing any agreement. Most importantly, Fan Kuan looked straight into Lu Yunqi's eyes. Remember, after receiving spirit crystals, only send over the identity talisman. Do not give them the shelter teleportation scroll. Those will only be distributed after I return. Once a recruit possessed the scroll, after activating the identity talisman's blood covenant, they could teleport themselves and their shelter over immediately. Fan Kuan would not allow the misfortune that befell the white bear cultivator to happen to Lu Yunqi, no matter how unlikely the risk. I understand, my lord. The young fox nodded firmly. Will you take me with you to cultivate today? Not today. You will stay here and oversee recruitment. May I work inside your dwelling? Lu Yunqi's eyes shone with longing. You may. I will bring you a wild boar when I return. Stepping outside, daylight had fully broken. The sun had returned from its patrol beyond the neighboring region. Fan Kuan flashed down from the stone platform. Time to continue leveling up. He eagerly anticipated the regional reward for being the first to reach Domain Realm, the 9-star Spatial Divine Art. This divine art would grant him early access to the deeper cave layers. He imagined slaying powerful monsters while they slumbered, claiming their vital energy and treasures. What great prospects awaited. Xiaoyin had also mentioned a supreme, grade divine artifact. Fan Kuan wondered what kind of treasure that might be as he hurried onward. He soon arrived at the corrupted corpse cave. The underground cavern within the canyon remained empty, with no new corrupted corpses in sight. Fan Kuan suspected great changes would take place here once the second celestial calamity struck. Leaving the canyon, he picked a direction and began hunting corrupted corpses. Enhanced by the swift, assault combat art, Fan Kuan moved at astonishing speed, ignoring all terrain obstacles. Before long, 2 ghost children appeared at the foot of the mountain. Like corrupted corpses in daytime, they stood motionless with heads bowed. When Fan Kun drew near, crimson light blazed in their eyes, and they lunged toward him with bared claws. Two streaks of light flashed, and the ghost children fell. Dark gray currents streamed into Fan Kun's body as vital energy. White light was absorbed by his spirit altar as spiritual power, and crimson currents flowed into his chi, blood orb. Every part of these small monsters held value. Fan Kun had worried that filling chi blood orbs might hinder his own advancement, but that proved not to be the case. He absorbed the unique yin, to yang energy of corrupted corpses, while the chi blood orbs drew upon the creature's raw vital force, similar to the power the dark sorceress drained for healing. Merely two ghost children left a wisp of crimson at the bottom of his chi blood orb. It seemed achievable to gather 10 chi blood orbs today. Before setting out, Fan Kun had consulted Xiao Yin. 1,000 fully charged chi blood orbs were required to fuel the city core. His personal target for the day was 10. He pressed onward. Whether because of his heavy slaughter the night before or for some other reason, corrupted corpses were sparse along his path. Though most of the foes he encountered were minor bosses such as ghost children and mantis beasts, vital energy collection progressed slowly. He needed to locate more corrupted corpse caves. Fan Kun followed the bases of nearby high mountains in his search. The two previous corrupted corpse caves he had found were situated within mountain base grottos. An hour passed. No corrupted corpse caves turned up, but he discovered a medium-grade spirit crystal mine. Truly, venturing further afield brought rewards. Without hesitation, Fan Kun claimed the mine. A question lingered in his mind. Outside the canyon, spiritual energy was far thinner than within it. The canyon brimmed with dense spiritual mist. Yet no spirit crystal mines existed inside the canyon. As such a potent spiritual energy node, it ought to hold multiple mineral veins. Apart from an odd spiritual fluctuation around the lake, he had found nothing after a quick search that morning. Was it merely a difference in energy density? According to the geospatial records, spiritual energy nodes dictated the scale and quantity of spirit crystal mines. He pushed the puzzle aside. Once enough subordinates were recruited, he would send teams to investigate other spiritual energy nodes. Another hour passed before Fan Kun located a corrupted corpse cave. It was comparable in size to the very first one he had discovered, smaller than the one inside his canyon. He descended deep into the cave and reached the underground cavern. There, the dark sorceress lay upon a stone platform. No black flames restrained her now. She had procured a stone bed and lay lazily atop it. At his arrival, her eyes glowed with a faint crimson light and locked onto him. Recognition dawned, and panic flickered across her features as she sat upright in haste. Fan Kun scanned the cavern. Enemies were few, merely dozens of ghost brides and over 100 black, furred apes. You have not spawned more creatures. Why are your numbers so low? Fan Kun asked, dissatisfied. Her pupils narrowed, then she smiled. If you require more creatures, I can generate them for you. Proceed. Fan Kun gestured. She rose slowly to her feet. I need 2 days. Only then will dark energy surges grant me the strength to spawn new creatures. 2 days of surging dark energy. The second layer of the corrupted corpse realm would open. Fan Kun's gaze sharpened. Why could you spawn creatures before? She stepped down from the platform, feigning a pitiful demeanor. Dark energy tides fed the spawning grounds until last night. All my reserves were drained. Now the energy source is gone. So that explained why she stayed confined underground and caused no trouble. She had no energy left. He also noticed the fear hidden behind her gaze. She must have witnessed his power near the canyon pass last night. He had left her thoroughly intimidated. Your Grace, the she-demon came to a halt beneath the stone platform, her eyes cast down as she toyed nervously with the hem of her clothes. Spare me, I beg you. I might. Dance for me first. Ahem. Back in the canyon, Fan Kun had wanted to capture a she-demon for thorough interrogation. He had noticed that these she-demons possessed far greater intelligence than ordinary rotting corpses. They behaved much like living beings, and perhaps they could reveal the truth behind the Doomsday Lands. Fan Kun nodded slightly. I shall ask you a few questions. Give me satisfactory answers, and I will spare your life. Please speak, Your Grace. The she-demon lifted her gaze. What exactly are you? The she-demon fell into brief thought. We are the Dark Folk. The Dark Folk. They even had their own tribal name. Fan Kun had expected her to plead pitifully, claiming she was merely a low-rank NPC brought forth solely to grant him experience points. Have the Dark Folk dwelt in this land since time immemorial? The Demon tilted her head and pondered. Your Grace, I know not. I only awakened not long ago. Awakened, Fan Kuen's eyebrow rose. Where did you reside before you woke? The she-demon shook her head. I cannot remember. Who roused you from your slumber? A voice. Whose voice? What did it say? It was. Red light began to surge in the she-demon's eyes. Fan Kuen flashed instantly before her, staring straight into her eyes. Do not even think of resisting. You will die? Speak. Her eyes flickered, red radiance clashing with raw fear. It was the boom. The she-demon's head burst apart in an instant. Red and white splattered across Fan Kuen's face. Damn it, I just killed the witness mid-interrogation. The moment the she-demon collapsed, all the rotting corpses within the cave flew into a frenzy and charged straight for Fan Kuen. 10 minutes later, the last of the corpses lay defeated. Fan Kuen picked up glowing orbs from the ground while sorting through his thoughts. These dark folk had lain dormant long before outsiders set foot in the Doomsday Lands. They had only been stirred from slumber after foreign races poured in, the orcs from Azeroth, humans from Blue Star, and the sea folk among others. Who woke them? Where had they existed in their slumber? The last word the she-demon had managed was the name had been cut short. Fan Kuen resolved to press for answers the next time he encountered another she-demon. He hated being kept in the dark. He also noted another detail. There were clear ranks among the dark she-demons. This one was noticeably weaker than the one he had met in the canyon, dropping only a 4-star orb. Still, getting a witness killed by mere intimidation was rather absurd. He would be more careful using that tactic in future. He left the cave and searched the mountain range for another hour. As daylight faded, he grew worried about leaving the little fox alone in the dwelling after dark and decided to head back toward the canyon. Any gains? Fan Kuen tossed a wild boar he had captured into the animal pen, then teleported directly behind Lu Yunshi. Seated at the stone table in the bedchamber, Lu Yunshi jumped in fright at his sudden appearance and spun around. Ah, Your Grace. You've returned. Any new members paying dues? Fan Kuen asked. Yes, lots. Lu Yunshi pointed toward her light screen and reported her progress. Look, over 100 individuals have already paid the entrance fee. Fan Kuen skimmed through her chat logs. The wording was somewhat rough, hewn, yet the message came across clearly. Countless orcs flooded group chats and private messages asking about joining Heavenly Palace. Overwhelmed by the volume of inquiries, Lu Yunshi resorted to copying and pasting the same reply. If you wish to join Heavenly Palace, pay 2,000 spirit crystals first. Even so, she had collected fees from more than 100 applicants. The supporters were certainly enthusiastic. Lu Yunshi stretched her stiff wrists and glanced around. Your Grace, where is the boar you caught? In the animal pen. Fan Kuen gestured behind him. He mused that Xiao Yin's constant peach treats had left the girl growing tired of fruit, heavy meals. Hearing they would have boar meat, Lu Yunshi hopped up from her stool and tilted her head upward. Your Grace, shall we roast it now? Very well, let us roast it. With Fan Kuen's approval, Lu Yunshi retrieved barbecuing supplies from her storage space and set to work. Fan Kuen seated himself before the light screen to take over customer service duties. Barely 2 minutes passed before he gave up. Messages poured in non-stop. More customer service aides were desperately needed. He glanced over at Lu Yunshi, who was busy butchering the boar, and shook his head. They needed at least 10 new staff. Fan Kuen pulled up today's payment list. Most of the names were familiar, including his top 3 most generous supporters. He would start with them. He selected 10 familiar followers from the list and traded shelter teleportation scrolls to each of them. Turning to the little fox, he said, I am going out to receive the newcomers. Keep roasting the meat. Fan Kuen teleported to the meadow in front of the dwelling platform, the newly allocated residential zone for arrivals. Moments later, silver light flickered across the grass. 10 dwellings of varying heights materialized one after another. Stone doors rumbled open, and women stepped out quickly. They came in all shapes and features: silver-haired silver foxes, green-haired green foxes, dark-haired spirit foxes, and fire foxes with flaming, hued hair. Setting aside their fox ears and tails, every single one would have ranked among the top beauties back on Blue Star. The fox race truly produced striking individuals. While Fan Kuen marveled at their appearances, the 10 women stood frozen in awe. To their eyes, the whole world faded away, leaving only his radiant figure. Silver hair glinted, blue eyes were deep, and his features were peerless. This must be the 9-tailed heavenly fox noble. Their hearts raced, and every one of them knelt flat on the grass. We greet you, Lord Fan Kuen. Their foreheads touched the ground. their bodies trembling with powerful emotion. "Rise," Fan Kuan waved a hand. "Thank you, Your Grace." They stood slowly, their gazes fixed intently upon him. Fan Kuan felt slightly flustered under such focused attention. Back on Blue Star, he had only ever been a top performing student, drilled by teachers to set aside all worldly desires to pursue elite sect admission. His classmates had all been studious young women preoccupied with their studies. He had never been stared at by so many beautiful women all at once. Nervousness washed over him, not fear of battle, but inexperience with this kind of social attention. For a moment, he almost forgot why he had summoned them. "Right. Customer, service staff, recruitment. Are you all willing to take on this work?" The words slipped out incompletely. An awkward silence fell over the clearing. Fan Kuan cringed at his clumsy wording. He had meant to ask whether they were willing to take up the assigned positions. The fox women, meanwhile, wondered what task the great noble intended to assign them. After 2 seconds of stunned silence, they bowed in unison. "We shall obey whatever your grace commands." Fan Kuan grew flustered, too embarrassed to restate his question clearly. He watched the sun sink low over the mountain ridge, its golden, red glow falling over the expectant-looking fox women. They were probably hungry. "Come, let us return to the dwelling for food." With that, Fan Kuan vanished in 2 successive flashes and reappeared atop the high platform. Hands behind his back, he looked down. "Come up." Inside the grand dwelling, the fox women followed Fan Kuan, gazing around in wonder. Few had ever entered such a spacious, finely decorated residence. They whispered among themselves, awestruck by the noble's abode. Fan Kuan overheard their murmurs and thought privately, "You have your own contributions to thank for all of this." "Yunshi, is supper ready?" Fan Kuan stepped into the bedchamber. Nearly done with the roast boar. Lu Yunshi turned from tending the meat. She spotted the newcomers. "Oh, Your Grace, who are they?" She had been so occupied with cooking that she had paid no heed to his earlier announcement. Fan Kuan lifted his chin and gestured toward the group. "These are new members of Heavenly Palace. Welcome." Lu Yunshi abandoned her cooking tools and bounded over. "Greetings, everyone. I am Lu Yunshi." The fox women exchanged confused glances before bowing politely. "Greetings." Fan Kuan walked over and patted Lu Yunshi lightly on the head. "She is a clanswoman I rescued out in the wilds. Our very first official Heavenly Palace member. She was the one communicating with you all in the group chat." Visible relief washed over the fox women. "Eat first. I will assign your duties afterward," Fan Kuan instructed. Lu Yunshi looked up. "Are they eating with us?" "Of course." Fan Kuan nodded, hands still behind his back. "I shall go cultivate for a while. Farewell, Your Grace." Once Fan Kuan departed, the fox women clustered around Lu Yunshi and plied her with questions. 1 hour of cultivation passed. Assuming supper was finished, Fan Kuan walked back toward the bedchamber. Inside, the 10 varied fox women rested around the huge stone bed, some squatting, some leaning, some seated. Their eyes wandered curiously over the furnishings. Only Lu Yunshi remained fully occupied, happily gnawing on a boar bone. Fan Kuan halted in the doorway, 1 foot hovering mid-step. Bringing them straight into the bedchamber upon arrival had been poor judgment. He could hardly send them all back to their dwellings right away. An idea came to him. He recalled a summer-time job interview back on Blue Star. Many students had waited in line, given numbered tickets, and called in one by one. He himself had waited from 9 in the morning until 1 in the afternoon without lunch. When he finally received notice of being hired, he had been overjoyed, only to work an entire summer with no bonus pay. "Lu Yunshi, come out here." Fan Kuan turned toward the library hall. "Coming." Lu Yunshi trotted out, still clutching the picked, clean boar bone. In the library hall, Fan Kuan sat upon a stone chair. Lu Yunshi stood off to one side. A silver-haired black-eyed fox woman stood before them. "Greetings, Your Grace." She bowed deeply. Fan Kuan regarded her, bright-eyed, elegant, featured, fair-skinned, and nodded. "Tell me about yourself." "I am Ling Ying of the Silver Fox Clan, 4-star bloodline. I formerly resided in Thousand Streams City on North Lake Island, Azeroth. You may call me Linger." So this was his top supporter. Privately, Fan Kuan acknowledged her status, yet he maintained proper formal distance now that they met in person. He leaned back in his stone chair and tapped his fingers against the armrest. "Linger, sit beside me." He gestured for Lu Yunshi to fetch a stone stool. Well, fed and alert, Lu Yunshi hauled a stone stool over with a loud clatter, nearly striking his feet. Fan Kuan shot her a glance and gestured for Ling Ying to sit. "Have you grown accustomed to life in the Doomsday Lands these past 10+ days?" Ling Ying perched on the edge of the stool, her posture straight. Thank you for your concern, Your Grace. I have adapted to the harsh conditions. Are your arts, combat techniques, and equipment satisfactory? I practice the 5-star Tide Surge manual. My combat arts are 2-star Flying Cloud Palm and 3-star Shock Fist. I wield a 3-star Flying Star Sword. Shock Fist. Fan Kuan smiled gently. What realm have you reached? I have just advanced to 8th tier of the Initiation realm. That is quite commendable. Many royal-blooded beings had only just reached 9th tier after the first celestial disaster. For a 4-star bloodline foxwoman to keep such pace was impressive. Fan Kuan tilted his chin upward, eyes half-lidded. I find myself thinking of home sometimes. His gaze settled upon her features. Linger, what was your station in Thousand Streams City? Ling Ying lifted her eyes, her tone soft and graceful. My father was the Deputy City Lord. I had just been chosen as 100 Pavilion Bloom. Deputy City Lord's daughter chosen as 100 Pavilion Bloom. Fan Kuan processed this unexpected background. Wow, so you were counted among the most beautiful young women of the city. Lu Yunxi's eyes went wide, and she fussed over her own messy hair. Ling Ying smiled faintly and nodded. Fan Kuan understood now. The title was an honor for outstanding young ladies, not an occupation of ill repute. He gave Lu Yunxi an approving glance. How old are you, Ling? Ling Ying tensed slightly and looked up cautiously. Your Grace, what exactly are you asking about? Your age, Fan Kuan clarified quickly. I have just turned 18. A faint blush tinted her cheeks. Have you managed to make contact with your father? Ling Ying's expression darkened, and she shook her head. Not yet. Fan Kuan raised his hand as if to offer a comforting pat, then drew it back. Do not lose hope. He may be alive somewhere in these lands. They talked further about her homeland, giving Fan Kuan greater insight into Foxclan nobility. 4-star bloodline foxes belonged to the upper echelons of orc society. Many mid-sized cities were governed by nobles of this rank. Though they lacked the aura of royal blood, they held substantial practical power. Fan Kuan then laid out the customer service recruitment duties for Ling Ying. Target candidate screening, information collection, applicant validation. Lu Yunxi would handle spirit crystal collection, while Ling Ying would manage nearly everything else. Ling Ying listened intently, jotting key points down on her wrist-mounted light screen. Raised by a deputy city lord, she possessed sharp comprehension and good judgment. She quickly grasped his vision and offered practical suggestions for settling new arrivals. Well done. I look forward to your work. Fan Kuan stood and held out his hand for a handshake. Ling Ying stared in surprise. She bowed low, pressing her cheek lightly against his open palm, her eyes lifting upward. Ling Ying shall not disappoint you, Your Grace. Fan Kuan glanced sideways at Lu Yunxi, who was staring fixedly at the stone wall. Feeling the soft warmth against his palm, he pulled his hand away. Go attend to your duties. Shortly afterward, Fan Kuan resumed his seat. Lu Yunxi stood at his right side. Your Grace, I am Yuro of the Green Fox clan. You may address me as Roar. Her black hair cascaded down her back, her peach blossom eyes elegant as she bowed gracefully. Ah, Roar. He recalled their earlier online conversations. Fan Kuan composed himself. Very well, Roar. Please introduce yourself. Your Grace, I am Lu Warner of the Red Fox clan. I am of Yunxi's clan. Thank you for looking after her. Bright fiery red hair framed her delicate oval face. She looked like what Lu Yunxi might grow up to be. Fan Kuan blinked. We are of the same clan. It is only natural. From now on, you may call me Warner, she said, her voice light and clear. Warner. He hoped she did not eat quite as ravenously as Lu Yunxi. Your Grace, I am of the Spirit Fox clan. More than an hour passed as Fan Kuan interviewed all 10 foxwomen from different lineages. He gained deeper understanding of Foxclan customs and backgrounds, laying solid groundwork for future cooperation. Fan Kuan stressed that all fox lineages were trusted allies. Amid the chaos of the Doomsday Lands, they ought to stay level-headed, support one another, and work together for the orderly growth of Heavenly Palace. After the conversation concluded, Fan Kuan set a recruitment target of 100 members for each branch of the Foxclan women. He stressed that the first batch of recruited Foxclan members must possess a strong sense of racial honor, firm will, and strict obedience to management, with no unqualified candidates allowed. Members of every Foxclan branch all voiced their agreement. Having sorted out all arrangements, Fan Kuan originally intended for everyone to return to their respective caves and communicate online if anything arose. Night had already fallen, and beds had been prepared. Having a large group of women gathered in the cave bedroom would create an awkward situation, for the leader also needed a proper place to rest. However, everyone was brimming with work enthusiasm. They insisted that for the brighter future of the Celestial Palace, They would start work right away inside the bedroom, believing that working together would boost efficiency. Moreover, the women claimed that as vulnerable young ladies, they felt unsafe staying alone in their caves at night, fearing encounters with wild beasts. Under such circumstances, he would yield to their wishes. After all, it was all for work, and so it was settled. Then where shall I sleep? Lu Yunqi suddenly asked, standing on tiptoes. Go back to your own cave and sleep. You are not afraid of wild beasts anyway. Fan Kuan turned and left the bedroom, moving the spirit crystal ore he had obtained that day to the mining zone. Gazing at the 6 towering super spirit crystal ore veins before him, his mood brightened further. He returned to his spirit cultivation chamber to begin his daily practice. Yet for some reason that day, Fan Kuan felt restless and unable to fully enter a cultivation state. Perhaps the noise from the ladies working 300 meters away was distracting him. It was understandable. An 18-year-old youth in this doomsday land, surrounded by 10 Fox Clan women of varied beauty, might naturally have distracting thoughts. Still, he scolded himself. These were all his loyal, devoted subordinates. Improper notions must be cast aside. Fan Kuan slapped his own palms against the stone wall a couple of times and resolved to go out and level up all night. At midnight, in a cave beside a lake, Lingchen completed his 3rd divine divination. Spiritual energy converges, a ground for military strife. Royal clans gather, an evil spirit shall be born. Lingchen's expression turned grave as he stared at the divination result. What did this mean? Why was there no mention of foreign clan forces this time? Had the foreign clan faction perished in the previous heavenly calamity, or had it ceased to pose a threat to the beast clan? Why did the birth of an evil spirit appear within this prophecy? Had the corrupted corpses of the last calamity been such evil spirits? Would the second heavenly calamity bring forth far more powerful evil spirits? And what exactly did spiritual energy convergence signify? This single prophecy filled Lingchen's mind with countless questions. The Azure Mystic Spirit Turtle clan had long served as the strategic thinkers of the Beast clan, yet now Lingchen found his own wits stretched thin. On the 15th morning of the Doomsday, Fan Kuan returned to the cave refreshed after hunting corrupted corpses all night. Though he had failed to advance to the 6th layer of transcendent mortal realm, he had gained over 50,000 points of vital energy and spiritual power. He also noticed a change. Corrupted corpses were far less active at night than during the first heavenly calamity, yet dark female wraiths roamed after dark. The previous night he had run across one wraith attempting to intrude on a male survivor's dwelling. Upon meeting her, Fan Kuan posed a question that perplexed the creature. Where exactly do you originate from? At those words, the wraith screeched and lunged straight for him. Why was she not reacting as expected? It seemed wraiths differed from one another. Fan Kuan had no choice but to slay her personally, and politely claimed a 5-star battle armor as spoils. Upon seeing Fan Kuan's return, the fox women rose in unison to greet him. Greetings, my lord. Fan Kuan nodded slightly at their bright-eyed vigor. It seemed they had gotten along well. How is the work progressing? Ling Ying stepped forward and bowed gracefully. My lord, through the joint efforts of all sisters last night, we have recruited 520 clansfolk. All admission fees have been handed over to Yunqi. Combined with fees collected earlier, we now have a total of 631 registered members. Impressive. So many in a single night. Fan Kuan nodded in satisfaction. We are merely fulfilling our duties, my lord, Ling Ying replied. I suggest we bring in those who have paid their fees in batches for resettlement. This will grant us ample time for follow-up arrangements. Fan Kuan pondered briefly. Very well. Understood, my lord. I shall inform Yunqi to arrange transactions for the sanctuary teleportation scrolls, Ling Ying said with a bow. Where is Yunqi? Fan Kuan glanced around, yet had not spotted the young fox girl since his return. Ling Ying's gaze drifted toward the innermost part of the bedroom. Yunqi stayed up with us all night, and only fell asleep shortly ago. That explained her absence. She had endured quite a lot. Fan Kuan chuckled softly. Do not wake her. I will have Xiao Yin deliver newly forged teleportation scrolls directly to you, and you shall oversee the transactions. As you command, my lord. Ling Ying's eyes sparkled with delight as she accepted the order. Fan Kuan scanned the assembled women. After one night together, informal ranks had naturally formed among them. The innate social instincts of the Beast clan ran deep. Wherever they went, bloodline rank remained the primary basis for class division. Ling Ying hailed from the 4-star bloodline Silver Fox clan, sharing the same bloodline rank as the newly promoted Yunqi. She outranked 3-star clans such as the Red-tailed Fox, Spirit Fox, and Azure Fox, placing her firmly among the Fox clan nobility. Fire Foxes, Black Foxes, and other 1- and 2-star Fox clans stood even further beneath her station. It was therefore only natural that Ling Ying had emerged as their leader. Xiao Yin. Fan Kuan called forth the cave spirit, who had remained invisible beside him. She had been Fan Kuan's first companion, yet since the arrival of the Foxwomen, she had kept a low profile and no longer constantly following him about the cave as before. Master, I am here. Xiao Yin bowed. What are the current stock counts for identity tokens, vital energy pearls, and sanctuary teleportation scrolls? Master, 1,000 units of each of the 3 supplies have been forged since yesterday. Truly a model worker. Without Xiao Yin, Fan Kuan would have been forced to spend endless hours at the forges himself. Well done, Xiao Yin. Fan Kuan reflected that her innate mind-reading ability was a great asset. She took the initiative to handle many matters without needing explicit orders. Hand these supplies over to Ling Ying. Also, give me today's cultivation manual. Fan Kuan received the manual. 4-star cultivation art, cloud recitation formula. Winds stir returning clouds. Mist unfurls in gentle repose. It was an excellent set of arts and combat techniques, vastly superior to the 2-star Mystic Clear formula widely used by most Beast Clan factions. Unfortunately, daily obtained manuals could not be copied. Otherwise, every member of his faction could possess one, which would be tremendously advantageous. He uploaded the art to the faction store, then turned toward Ling Ying. Distribute the teleportation scrolls for transactions in batches of 100 people. Then come with me to resettle the newly arrived clansfolk. Let the rest remain here to continue recruitment. Understood, my lord. Ling Ying acknowledged with a nod. They arrived upon the canyon grassland. Fan Kuan stood with hands clasped behind his back, while Ling Ying stood demurely behind him. Soon silver light flickered, and caves of varying sizes materialized across the plain. Following the first heavenly calamity, all surviving Beast Clan sanctuaries stood at minimum as Grade 4 small caves. A small number of those who could afford admission fees even possessed Grade 5 medium-sized caves. Fan Kuan watched as Beast Clan members stepped out from their caves, knelt, and saluted him with open adoration. A swell of pride rose within him. Rise, all of you, Fan Kuan said with a calm wave of his hand. Gradually, however, his smile faded. Every single one of the 100 newly arrived Fox Clan members was female. What was going on? Fan Kuan shot a look toward Ling Ying, who stared back at him in apparent bewilderment. Why are all of them women? Fan Kuan asked. Ling Ying blinked her long, rounded eyes. My lord, did you not say last night that the first batch of Fox Clan recruits must possess the strongest loyalty and racial honor? Fan Kuan recalled his own words. I did. Setting solid standards for the first group would make managing subsequent recruits easier. Precisely, Ling Ying nodded. So I sent over our most loyal, most devoted worshippers of you as the first wave. You are not assembling recruits. You are selecting concubines for me. I wanted Spartan-style warriors to conquer the world alongside me. Yet you have sent me nothing but a retinue of ladies. Very well. Fan Kuan sighed. They were already here. He could hardly issue refunds. For future recruits, ensure at least half are male. As you wish, my lord. Furthermore, Fan Kuan arched an eyebrow and issued his first official faction mission. Select 2 clansfolk to assist you. Compile detailed records on every newcomer, especially cave attributes, as soon as possible. Assign all members to venture outward around the canyon to eliminate corrupted corpses and gather intelligence. Issue vital energy pearls to every clansfolk. Have them fill the pearls with vital energy while slaying corrupted corpses. The intelligence they gather should cover corrupted corpse layers, information on neighboring sanctuaries, and all mineral deposits, spirit crystal veins in particular. When they return each day, have Xiaoyin assign faction contribution points according to the reward framework I have set, based on the filled vital energy pearls and submitted reports. Fan Kuan transmitted the framework to Ling Ying's wrist-mounted light screen. He had devised this system during his night hunt for corrupted corpses. As his faction expanded, mineral consumption would surge, and these resources would become key points of conflict between competing powers. Corrupted corpse layers too might become fiercely contested leveling grounds once the second heavenly calamity descended. Faction contribution points functioned as internal currency within the power, which Fan Kuan could issue freely. Yet he avoided empty promises. To maintain morale, he stocked the faction store with large quantities of goods for point redemption. Food, beverages, spirit-enriched soil, spirit plants, low-star equipment, and cultivation manuals obtained from over 100,000 dropped orbs were all placed within the store. Prices within the faction store were deliberately set lower than those of spirit crystal shops and regional trading channels. Finish arranging this batch. Then we will receive the next 100. Ling Ying nodded repeatedly, logging every instruction onto her wrist screen before lifting her gaze. My lord, shall we recruit members from other clans later on? Other clans? Fan Kuan considered. We may accept a limited number. Cap each foreign clan at 50 individuals. Understood, my lord. Ling Ying bowed and turned to organize the newcomers. Fan Kuan flashed back to the high platform, looking down over the scene. He watched Ling Ying efficiently arrange the arriving Fox Clan members and nodded in approval. With such a capable subordinate, he need not concern himself with trivial details. His top priority lay in preserving overwhelming combat power. He was his faction's reusable ultimate weapon. Ling Ying worked with great efficiency. Within half an hour, the first 100 members had finished registration and departed the canyon to begin their exploration tasks. Before setting off, Ling Ying led the foxwomen in bowing reverently toward Fan Kuan upon the high platform. Ling Ying proved herself a shrewd and competent subordinate. Once the first batch was settled, Fan Kuan and Ling Ying proceeded to receive the second 100 recruits. This time nearly half were male Fox Clan members. Fan Kuan's lingering worries faded. He had no wish to march into battles or seize territory with an all-female retinue following behind. That would make for quite an absurd sight. The same registration and assignment procedures followed. By mid-morning, Ling Ying had processed and resettled 600 clansfolk. Fan Kuan personally oversaw only the first 2 batches. Ling Ying handled the remaining 4 with 2 Fox Clan aides. When the 7th batch began teleporting in, however, Ling Ying sent a message requesting Fan Kuan's presence. 10 individuals from outside the Fox Clan were among the new arrivals. Fan Kuan descended to the grassland and greeted the Fox Clan members who came to pay homage. Thoughts drifted through his mind. Though as a human he could not fully embrace the identity of a Beast Clan being, he admired their powerful racial cohesion, far exceeding that of humankind. Were this happening among humans from Blue Star, welcoming such numbers of new members would demand 3 days of orientation assemblies to unify thought and conduct. Explaining the contribution point reward system alone would take days on end. Yet the Beast Clan could carry out orders immediately once objectives were clearly laid out. As these thoughts passed through his mind, a group of canine-featured beings hurried forward. Greetings, Lord Fan Kuan. Their leader knelt at once. Golden AO Hound Clan. Once upon a time, that had been his own kin. Having advanced to transcendent mortal realm, Fan Kuan could perceive a creature's race directly through his soul sense, without relying on outward appearance. Rise, Fan Kuan gestured. The 10 Hound Clan beings stood. Their leader panted with excitement. Honorable Lord Fan Kuan, I am Jinshan of the Golden AO Hound Clan. We have long heard tales of your greatness, and seeing you in person exceeds all expectation. Fan Kuan waved off his awkward phrasing. You are all children of the Beast God. Though you belong to the Hound Clan, you shall be treated equally within the Celestial Palace. Jinshan clapped his paws excitedly and turned toward his companions. See? I told you Lord Fan Kuan would treat us fairly. Fan Kuan gestured toward the rest of the Hound Clan, only to be caught off guard by Jinshan's next declaration. Lord Fan Kuan, as the saying goes, fox friends and hound companions, the AO Hound Clan shall become your most loyal subordinates. That idiom was not meant to be used in that manner. Fan Kuan spoke coolly. Ling Ying, continue with the arrangements. He teleported back to the high platform. By afternoon, through the combined efforts of the support staff and Ling Ying, the Celestial Palace possessed 1,073 affiliated sanctuaries and 1,092 faction members. 19 underage Fox Clan children had arrived alongside their parents. Ling Ying, the 4-star Silver Fox, and Lu Yun 11, the Red Spirit Fox, still held the highest bloodline rank. Fewer than 10 3-star Fox Clan members had joined. The vast majority were 1-star Fox Clan. Outside the Fox Clan came 10 Golden AO Hound Clan members and a married couple from the Snow Mastiff Clan. Affiliated sanctuaries now met the minimum requirement for faction advancement. Fan Kuan ordered recruitment suspended. Though ample space remained on the canyon grassland for additional caves, he intended to fully integrate his existing 1,000-plus Beast Clan subjects first. Local resources around the canyon were finite. Too many members would mean insufficient corrupted core prey to sustain everyone's cultivation progress. Furthermore, the second heavenly calamity would arrive at midnight on the following day. No one could predict what lay ahead. That night, after compiling the day's statistics, Ling Ying delivered her report to Fan Kuan within the cave library. As Fan Kuan listened to her gentle voice and reviewed the day's gains, his eyes lit up. Collective effort had yielded extraordinary results. Even with exploratory teams only gradually dispatched throughout the day, their returns were remarkable. 3 large stone ore veins, 5 medium stone ore veins, 2 large copper ore veins, 6 medium copper ore veins, 3 large iron ore veins, 4 medium iron ore veins, and 1 small spirit crystal or vein. The discovery of a spirit crystal vein came as a pleasant surprise. The Fox Clan scout who had located it had turned it over to Ling Ying. Willing submission of such valuable resources stemmed partly from Fan Kuen's authority, but also from special rewards set for spirit crystal ore discoveries. Those who found or handed over spirit crystal veins received generous spirit crystal compensation, scaled according to vein size. Minuscule veins yielded 5,000 spirit crystals, small veins 10,000, medium-sized veins 50,000, and so forth. These rewards proved more attractive to Beast Clan members than secretly mining veins for themselves. Fan Kuen understood that while ordinary Beast Clan beings instinctively revered royal bloodlines, as intelligent beings they also possessed self-interest. They might bow low before royalty, yet when great material benefits were at stake, they would make their own calculations. For instance, regional chat logs revealed that roughly 1 million beast folk inhabited this territory. Yet when the royal clans called for spirit crystal donations or urged the formation of factions, the vast majority of beast folk remained on the sidelines. After all, they had their own survival needs to consider. Thus, a sustainable model relied on a combination of royal authority and binding incentives. Naturally, the faction leader's combat strength was another critical factor. While members could not betray their faction after joining, after consulting Xiaoyin, Fan Kuen learned that faction leaders currently possessed no way to expel subordinates, save for one option, killing them. But what if a faction leader was weaker than one of their followers? Could the subordinate openly defy their superior with impunity, leaving the leader powerless to intervene? Still, Fan Kuen held full confidence in his own strength. After all, how many individuals across this entire region, or even the entirety of the Doomsday Realm, could boast a 9-star talent? On top of the attributes granted by his talent, he held other overpowered advantages, 3 supreme-grade divine souls, alongside the ability to endlessly absorb cavern properties. My lord, apart from the mineral veins we uncovered, the clan's folk have located 2 corrupted corpse caverns and 3 beast folk caverns. Ling Ying continued her report. Which clans own those 3 beast folk caverns? Fan Kuen asked. One belongs to Mufing of the Coyote clan, another to Kafu of the Black Widow clan, and the third is a large cavern with no identified owner. That large cavern likely belongs to Shiba, Fan Kuen muttered to himself. The fact that Shiba had managed to track down the canyon meant his cavern was somewhere nearby. He was probably away at the moment. Shiba. Ling Ying's brows drew together. Is that Lord Shiba of the Dark Golden Bear clan? It is. Do you know him? Fan Kuen turned to look at Ling Ying. I did not before. Ling Ying shook her head. But since arriving in the Doomsday Realm, I have frequently seen his messages in the regional chat. I see. Fan Kuen nodded and brushed a finger across his brow. Watching his gesture, Ling Ying pressed her naturally crimson lips together, her eyes glinting playfully. Still, I pay far closer attention to your messages, my lord. Fan Kuen froze for a moment before smiling faintly. He thought to himself, this clever fox always knows just what to say. Far to the north of the region, upon the vast ice plains, guided by Lu Fei of the White Bear clan, Shiba had traversed the area for an hour. We need not search further. This must be the site Lingchen told me to find. The place where spiritual energy converges, Shiba declared, sensing the dense spiritual power permeating the surroundings. My lord, there are 3 giant spirit crystal veins further north. Would you like to inspect them? Lu Fei pointed toward the north. There is no need, Shiba shook his head. We cannot harvest giant spirit crystal veins for now. Leave them be. Shortly, I will establish my faction. Once that is done, we can relocate all caverns and clansmen here to begin mining directly. As you command, my lord. Lu Fei bowed respectfully. This was only his second meeting with Shiba. During their first encounter, he had merely felt intimidated by the royal bloodline radiating from the Bear Lord. This time, he truly sensed the overwhelming physical power dwelling within Shiba's body. Shiba gazed far toward the south, took a deep breath, and spoke in a heavy tone. Send word to all bear clans within the region. The Overlord Hall is founded today. Tell them to purchase supplies and teleport here on their own. The first 50 recruits shall each receive a portion of same-tier bloodline essence in the future. Yes, my lord. Who is this Kafu? Fan Kuen was uncertain whether the Black Widows of Azeroth were spider kind. 3-star spider bloodline. The scouts report she also has 3 offspring with her. Ling Ying retained all the gathered information clearly in her mind. So she really was a spider beast folk. Fan Kuan had long since grown accustomed to the Fox clan's folk, whose striking looks were undeniably pleasing to behold. The bear and coyote clans he had met were also tolerable, at least possessing recognizably humanoid forms. Yet he struggled to picture spider, centipede, or mantis beast folk. Would the spider beast folk move about on 8 limbs? Still, he dared not voice such thoughts to Ling Ying, fearful of exposing his origins. He let out a deliberate sigh. Her situation is difficult. If she wishes to come. He caught a flicker of surprise cross Ling Ying's face and quickly adjusted his words. The final call must rest with you. Ling Ying released the breath she had unconsciously held. She had feared her lord intended to show mercy and accept the Black Widow. Noticing her odd expression, Fan Kuan suspected there was more to this spider beast folk. He probed gently. Would you accept her? I would not, Ling Ying answered without hesitation. My lord, she is a Black Widow, and a Black Widow with 3 young. Is she some kind of threat to foxfolk? I see. Fan Kuan replied neutrally. Worried Fan Kuan might change his mind, Ling Ying emphasized further. My lord, though all beast folk ought to stand united in the Doomsday realm, the Black Widow's reproductive instincts and feeding habits will not change simply because they arrived here. You must not allow her to come near us. She seems far more wary of this Black Widow than of Sheba. I have said the decision is yours. I will not meddle in such minor matters. My lord, Ling Ying lowered her head in thought. I am concerned that our clan's folk will range across this territory from now on. Their combat capabilities vary greatly. If anyone wanders off alone and encounters the Black Widow, she lifted her eyes, a sharp glint within them. Fan Kuan studied Ling Ying intently for a long moment, then said slowly, arrange things as you see fit. Understood, my lord. Ling Ying tapped her light screen and continued. My lord, here is a list documenting the cavern properties of every subordinate. I sorted them roughly by individual capability and am sending it to you now. The next instant, information appeared on the light screen wrapped around Fan Kuan's wrist. It contained the cavern properties of all his subordinates except Lu Yunxi, and he immediately opened it to read. Ranked first on Ling Ying's list was the cavern of Lu Wanner, the red-tailed fox. Its property, the cavern automatically conceals its presence, undetectable by wraiths. An ideal ability to lie low, perfectly suited for fending off corrupted corpses that roamed at night. To Fan Kuan, however, it held little value. Second belonged to Ling Ying's own cavern. Property possesses a portable space 100 times larger than the cavern's built-in storage. This ability was exceptionally practical. It could hold staggering volumes of supplies. In future expeditions, even massive spirit crystal veins could be transported back to the canyon. Fan Kuan continued scrolling, skimming through the rest. The cavern properties listed further down were fairly mediocre. Most were low-grade resource bonuses or combat enhancements burdened with strict limitations. One granted a 10% strength boost, yet only within 100 meters of the cavern. If the buff applied unconditionally, it would be tremendously powerful, its value growing exponentially as strength increased. Restricting it to the vicinity of the cavern severely limited its utility, only useful if enemies marched directly to one's doorstep. There were also several bizarre properties. One cavern housed a tailoring workshop capable of producing ordinary garments. Another produced a wooden staff each day. Fan Kuan sighed internally, glad cultivation had eliminated the need for such mundane comforts. Still, one cavern property seized his full attention. Uro of the Azure Fox clan possessed this ability. Starting from the first day, once every 10 days, she may pinpoint the shelter coordinates of a designated target. It granted no combat power and yielded no resources, yet its potential applications were vast. The first person Fan Kuan thought of was Lingxin. That tortoise spied on him every 7 days and might one day track him down. While the 9-tailed heavenly fox divine soul residing within him protected him from suspicion regarding his royal identity, Lingxin remained an ongoing hazard. If he could absorb this cavern property, perhaps bolstered by the power of absorption, his divination ability could advance to an even higher level. His second thought was using this skill to locate his parents, whose whereabouts remained unknown. The description contained no mention of regional restrictions. However, connections between different regions had yet to open. Could this moderately ranked ability truly locate his parents across vast distances? Furthermore, what qualified as a designated target? A full race and name? Identification was straightforward among beast folk, yet countless people shared identical names back in Huagua on Blue Star. He would need to summon Uro at the earliest opportunity to test and research this ability. Half an hour later, Fan Kuan finished reviewing all cavern properties. He lifted his gaze toward Ling Ying, who stood beside him, and spoke approvingly. You have done excellent work. Moving forward, collect and submit the cavern properties of every newly recruited subordinate without delay. Additionally, report immediately if you discover or hear of anyone of any race possessing high-rank cavern properties. I understand, my lord. Ling Ying nodded. Powerful cavern properties benefit both individuals and the faction greatly. I will urge everyone to keep their eyes open for leads. Good work. You may rest for today. Ensure everyone gets a full night's rest. Tomorrow at dawn, we resume clearing corrupted corpses and resource exploration. As you command, my lord. Ling Ying bowed. Seeing she did not take her leave, Fan Kuan raised an eyebrow. Is there something else? My lord. Ling Ying lowered her head, her long eyelashes trembling softly. Only Yunshi stays near your cavern at night, with no one else to attend to you. Shall I arrange you Ro and Wanner to keep you company each evening? Fan Kuan straightened up instantly, tempted by the proposal. Truth be told, the idea held clear appeal. As a royal lord commanding over 1,000 subordinates, spending every night alone felt far too solitary. We can discuss it later. Fan Kuan waved a hand. Tonight, I plan to clear the 2 corrupted corpse caverns we discovered. Shall I send warriors to accompany you, my lord? Ling Ying did not press the previous matter. No need. Fan Kuan refused outright. For one thing, dark wraiths hunted after dark. Once Fan Kuan unleashed the swift battle skill, no one else could keep pace. If his followers encountered the wraiths separately, they risked being wiped out. For another, he hoped to advance to the next major realm as quickly as possible. He needed to claim all the experience from these monsters for himself. He sought not only regional advancement rewards, but also the strength to tackle the second layer of corrupted corpse caverns alone. Fan Kuan estimated the boss of the second layer possessed strength peaking at the transcendent realm. Very well, my lord. I shall take my leave. Many clans are stirring up activity recently. I will organize all critical intelligence overnight and report to you tomorrow morning. Your efforts are appreciated. Fan Kuan could not tell whether the local corrupted corpses had been heavily depleted on the final night of the last celestial disaster. Yet the first corrupted corpse cavern he reached contained surprisingly few minor bosses. Only around 100 wraith brides and black-furred apes lingered, and the dark wraith matriarch was away from the cavern. Fan Kuan eliminated all monsters guarding the cavern, then settled onto a stone platform to wait for the wraith to return. He waited until dawn broke over the horizon before the dark wraith wandered back to her lair. The moment she stepped into the underground cavern and spotted the corpses of her underlings alongside Fan Kuan seated on the stone platform, her expression turned dire. Without a single word, she spun around and fled. Fan Kuan flashed forward on golden light, rushing to give chase. After multiple skirmishes with dark wraiths, Fan Kuan had gradually identified their 3 core combat skills. First, Blood Chi Devourer. They drain the blood chi of their underlings to rapidly heal their wounds. Second, Soul Shrieking Howl. Twin scarlet vortexes form within their eyes, capable of forcibly stunning opponents. The skill required a brief wind-up, making it effective only when striking an unwary target the first time. Third, Possession Suspected. They seize control of beast-folk bodies to transfer their divine souls. Of course, this remained merely Fan Kuan's speculation, as he had yet to witness it firsthand. If possession was not their goal, why did they bind beast-folk bodies inside cocoons? Beyond these 3 abilities, dark wraiths relied primarily on their immense physical strength to fight. Their blood chi ranged between 80,000 and 120,000. Before advancing to the transcendent realm, fighting dark wraiths had pushed Fan Kuan to his limits. Now his blood chi exceeded 1 million, and subduing one was simple. Fan Kuan grabbed the wraith by the nape of her neck, holding her like a feral kitten as her claws scrapped uselessly against his armor. He shook her gently and spoke in a low voice. Calm down. Keep struggling, and there will be consequences. Realizing she could not break free and that her attacks failed to leave even a faint mark on his armor, the wraith ceased thrashing. Her almond eyes blazed as she glared furiously at him. Smack. Fan Kuan tapped her forehead. Keep staring, and I will take your eyes. The wraith continued to glare defiantly, yet her eyes flinched instinctively. Fan Kuan huffed silently. Each dark wraith possessed a distinct temperament. Some ferocious, some seductive, some timid, and others childlike. I will ask you several questions. Answer truthfully, and I shall spare your life. Fan Kuan tilted his chin upward, looking down at the wraith suspended in his grasp. You lie? You will kill me regardless. The wraith pouted and retorted sharply. Oh, you dare talk back. Fan Kuan shook her again, swinging her limply like a cloth doll. Just kill me. The wraith shouted, her voice trembling. Fan Kuan twisted his wrist and examined her from every angle. This wraith felt different from the others, far more human. What is your name? Fan Kuan pressed on despite her resistance. I do not remember, the wraith replied, furious yet helpless like a cat held by its scruff. Try harder to recall. Fan Kuan shook her lightly once more. The wraith rolled her eyes skyward. There is nothing to recall. Do you know who I am? Fan Kuan continued his interrogation. I do not. She shot him an angry glance. If you do not know me, why run away the instant you saw me? The question struck a nerve. The wraith fell silent for a moment as she pondered. I just sensed I could not win. Fan Kuan thought to himself. So you can feel the overwhelming aura of my power. What am I to you? Food. She answered without hesitation. Am I not the most impressive meal you could ever hope for? Fan Kuan stroked his brow and contemplated. She saw him as food rather than an enemy. These wraiths acted much like wild beasts from Blue Star. They hunted beast folk for sustenance instead of waging a war of total annihilation. Do you remember how you arrived in this territory? Fan Kuan shot her a sideways glance. I do not. The wraith snapped, growing irritable. Apart from preying on me, what else do you seek? The wraith narrowed her eyes, studying him in confusion before tilting her head to think. Any yang energy. What happens once you absorb yang energy? Fan Kuan believed he was beginning to understand. He gained yin energy slaying corrupted corpses, which he could convert into yang energy. Dark wraiths operated in reverse, craving yang energy. It makes me stronger. Greed flickered within the wraith's gaze as she stared at him. Dream on if you think you can drain my yang energy. Why do you trap beast folk inside cocoons? A cunning smile tugged at the wraith's lips. So we can become one of you. Just as he suspected. These creatures truly could seize bodies through possession. Why have you not taken over a beast folk body yet? Fan Kuan was confused. For safety's sake, they ought to claim bodies as quickly as possible to disguise themselves. The wraith tilted her gaze upward at a 45-degree angle and scoffed disdainfully. All the available vessels are worthless trash. Bold words from you. Would you try to possess me? Fan Kuan smiled faintly. The wraith looked him up and down carefully. But you are male, so you draw the line at taking male bodies. Fan Kuan asked several more questions. Every time he brought up their origins, who sent them here, or memories from before they arrived, the wraith could recall nothing. Still, she differed from the wraith that had self-destructed previously. She only appeared blank, never clutching her head screaming or erupting into a shower of bodily fluids. It felt as though some binding seal was missing from her existence. Doubt stirred within Fan Kuan, alongside curiosity. That said, curiosity was all it amounted to. He lacked the means to imprison her for prolonged research. She was no lion or tiger from Blue Star that could be locked inside a cage. This was a genuine apex predator. The fact she had not self-destructed during questioning likely meant she held an even higher rank. If allowed to grow stronger, she might evolve into a catastrophe capable of destroying countless lives. Furthermore, Fan Kuan was not someone who lost rationality at the sight of an attractive female creature. The Fox Clan's folk residing within the canyon were no less striking than this temperamental wraith prone to fits of bloodlust. If he wished for companionship, he had no shortage of options. Once he finished all his inquiries, Fan Kuan looked at the wraith with a calm expression. Have you anything else to say? The wraith froze briefly. Her eyes flooded with crimson rage. I knew you were lying. Boom. The wraith's head shattered in Fan Kuan's grip, and her body slumped limply. Fan Kuan flicked the blood from his hand and let out a quiet huff. He wondered when he had grown so cold-hearted. Stepping onto the land bathed in morning sunlight, Fan Kuan set off toward the next corrupted corpse cavern. Dawn of the 16th day in the Doomsday Realm. After returning to her cavern the night before, Ling Ying completed 2 tasks. First, she compiled a detailed topographic map of the land surrounding the canyon using all scouting reports. Second, she split the 1,073 caverns into 10 groups. A 3-star Fox clansman led each group. Inside the private faction chat channel, she met with the 10 leaders and assigned clear exploration zones for the following day. Early that morning, Ling Ying reiterated safety protocols to each leader in person before sending the clansfolk out to work. It was undeniable. Beast folk with superior bloodlines possessed not only stronger innate talents, but also an inborn sense of duty. Fan Kuan had only given Ling Ying general instructions on long-term objectives, yet she refined every task and arranged all logistics flawlessly. As the clansfolk filed out of the canyon, Ling Ying turned around and spotted Fan Kuan standing atop a high platform, bathed in clear morning sunlight. Moments later, he waved her over. Ling Ying hastened forward using her movement skill. My lord, these are key pieces of information from the regional chat from yesterday and early this morning. I have compiled them for your review. Ling Ying reported to him the moment they met. Fan Kuan did not look over the information right away. Instead, he studied the subordinate standing before him carefully. They had met for the first time only 2 days prior. Originally, Fan Kuan had only seen her and the others as contacts to help him recruit followers. But yesterday morning, he soon realized this young lady with 4-star bloodline possessed outstanding leadership skills, so he put her temporarily in charge of welcoming new subordinates. After a full day of observation, Fan Kuan knew he had struck gold. Ling Ying managed over 1,000 followers smoothly without him needing to intervene at all. Fan Kuan had read the messages in the faction-exclusive chat group. He was certain he could never have arranged everything as well as Ling Ying. Truly worthy of the Silver Fox clan, the bloodline closest to the 9-tailed Heavenly Fox clan. The faint glow of dawn fell upon the graceful beauty beside him, outlining her elegant figure with a faint golden halo. For a moment, Fan Kuan stared blankly. "My lord," Ling Ying called softly, then bowed her head slightly and pressed her lips together, looking somewhat uneasy. "Oh." Fan Kuan snapped back to his senses and remembered to check the information. Dominance Hall. Seeing the faction name chosen by Shiba, Fan Kuan thought it was exactly what he expected. The name suited Shiba's bold, unrestrained temperament. Cloud Floating Palace. Fan Kuan curled his lip at Lingchen's faction name. That tortoise really loved fancy names. Why not simply call it Tortoise Palace? In Fan Kuan's eyes, compared to Shiba constantly shouting in the chat that he would get rid of the traitor himself, he disliked the scheming tortoise far more. Over the past 2 days, apart from the Dark Golden Bear clan and the Azure Nether Black Tortoise clan establishing their factions, other royal clans in the region had followed suit and founded their own forces. Meanwhile, numerous clans without royal bloodlines within the region had banded together to form factions as well. Among them, the factions established by the Porcupine clan left the deepest impression on Fan Kuan. One was named the Big Ear Alliance, and the other the Five Flowers Sect. Fan Kuan nearly laughed out loud at these bizarre names. He resolved to tease them about it if they ever met in person. However, the next entry made Fan Kuan frown. An invitation for all regional royal clans to attend a gathering in 7 days. He turned toward Ling Ying. How have the other royal clans responded to this? Ling Ying already had her thoughts prepared and spoke promptly. Shortly after Lords Lingchen and Shiba jointly issued the invitation, Lord Rhine of the Golden Lion clan immediately confirmed his attendance. As of early this morning, Lord San Miao of the Lightning Leopard clan and Lord Feng Jin of the Nether White Tiger also announced in the group chat that they would take part. 7 days from now, Fan Kuan mentally calculated the timeline. Lingchen had conducted a divine divination yesterday, and immediately afterward joined Shiba in sending out notice for the royal gathering to be held 7 days later. The day of the gathering coincided with another divine divination. Could there be some connection between the two events? Fan Kuan fell silent for a moment before lifting his gaze to Ling Ying. "Do you think I ought to go?" Light shimmered in Ling Ying's bright eyes as she nodded. "My lord, according to the notice released by Lords Lingchen and Shiba, they have called this gathering for regional royal clans to discuss matters concerning the regional contest. From that perspective, you should attend." However, Ling Ying shifted her tone. The timing chosen by the two lords feels strange. If their sole aim is to discuss the regional contest, holding the gathering within the next 2 days would be far more sensible. The royal clans would then have ample time to plan and carry out any resolutions reached during the meeting. Waiting 7 days means the regional contest will already be halfway underway by the time the gathering takes place, leaving little room to alter the situation in the final days. So, Ling Ying paused for a second. "I suggest you give a verbal agreement to attend. This matter concerns the interests of all beast clans in the region, and our Fox clan cannot afford to stay on the sidelines. Afterward, you can send envoys to scout the gathering venue 2 days in advance using positioning transmission talismans." Fan Kuan studied Ling Ying closely once more. Was this the wisdom of high-ranking Fox clans? He had deduced Lingchen and Shiba were plotting something thanks to knowing the true nature of divine divination, yet Ling Ying possessed no such foreknowledge. "What do you suspect they hope to achieve with this arrangement?" Ling Ying's dark eyes flickered as she chose her words carefully. Suspicious acts always stem from pursuit of gain. After seeing the notice, I have analyzed the situation. I suspect Lords Lingchen and Shiba intend to use this gathering to secure a leading position among all beast clans of the region. "Oh," Fan Kuan raised an eyebrow. "And how do you imagine they will accomplish that?" A faint smile tugged at Ling Ying's lips. Conflicts between beast clans are ultimately settled by strength. They undoubtedly plan to demonstrate their power to all the clans. Still, The region will remain plagued by natural disasters 7 days from now. I believe Lords Lingchen and Shiba will refrain from fighting to the death and only put on a restrained display at most. That would be the case under ordinary circumstances. But if they divine that I am the traitor during the gathering, the fight would turn deadly. Fan Kuan smiled gently. Very well. We will accept the invitation first. I will post my reply in the regional chat shortly. Understood, my lord. Ling Ying bowed slightly. The scouting teams dispatched outside will all return to the canyon before nightfall today. I will compile all their findings and report to you afterward. Fan Kuan nodded. The second wave of natural disasters begins at midnight tonight. No one knows how the world will change once the 10 suns hang in the sky. I advise everyone to avoid venturing out to cultivate this evening. That way, we can respond promptly if any emergencies arise. As you command, my lord. I have another proposal. A glimmer of anticipation shone in Ling Ying's clear eyes. Speak. Fan Kuan waved a hand. My lord's heavenly palace has only just been founded. The first batch of followers who joined are your most loyal supporters. Yet many clansmen who arrived later have not yet had the chance to meet you. Therefore, I suggest we hold the first assembly of Heavenly Palace tonight, right before the natural disaster arrives. Firstly, it will allow all clansmen to hear your guidance in person. Secondly, it will bolster everyone's resolve to face the upcoming disasters. Fan Kuan suddenly recalled a famous line from history. Ling Ying, you are my Zhongliang. It was merely an inaugural gathering. There was no reason not to hold it. Fan Kuan nodded. Ling Ying, make all the necessary arrangements. Ling Ying bowed deeply. It shall be done, my lord. I will go prepare immediately. Returning to his dwelling, Fan Kuan retrieved the day's skill manual from Xiaoyin, Advanced Public Speaking. Fan Kuan glanced around suspiciously, grumbling silently. This dwelling must be secretly listening to my conversations. It reminded him of when he was still on Blue Star. He would casually mention wanting to buy reference books to his classmates, and then his browser would be flooded with recommendations for teaching materials. Even stranded in this apocalyptic world, there was no escaping targeted suggestions. Fan Kuan tossed the manual straight into his scripture repository, then walked into the bedroom to look at Lu Yunxi, who was still sound asleep. Still dozing off, Fan Kuan was seized by a silly urge to wake her up and send her off to school. Forget it. It was the end of the world. There was no need to rush about studying. He could introduce the dozen young foxes to her at tonight's assembly, so she would have playmates. Fan Kuan headed alone to his spirit cultivation chamber and went over all the information Ling Ying had compiled once again. After a long while, Fan Kuan took out a positioning transmission scroll. In the next instant, his figure vanished from the dwelling. From the information he had reviewed, the coordinates Lingchen and Shiba had set for the royal gathering were situated at a spirit energy node. Was this a coincidence, or was Lingchen's dwelling built right on this spot? He also needed to find out what the surrounding terrain looked like, and whether there were any unusual features. Could those two have already begun laying traps? This concerned his own life, so he could not afford to be careless. Believing in striking fast, Fan Kuan headed straight for the marked coordinates. Silver light faded, and Fan Kuan appeared halfway up a mountain. The moment he materialized, he ducked low. At the entrance of a corpse-infested cave at the foot of the mountain, a large group of beast clansmen had gathered. These clansmen had smooth foreheads, forward, jutting necks, broad yet slightly hunched backs, and powerfully muscled arms. Their overall appearance brought a certain martial arts character to mind. Fan Kuan extended his divine sense to investigate. Tortoises. All varieties of tortoises. Lingchen the azure nether black tortoise was nowhere to be seen. He was probably deep inside the corpse cave. A mischievous thought crossed Fan Kuan's mind. Could the sea clans from the neighboring region already be acquainted with the tortoise clan? When the regions connect and the two sides line up for battle, what if their leader shouts from the front lines, "Prime Minister Tortoise, come forth," and Lingchen jumps up and answers, "Here." No, that was unlikely. The azure nether black tortoise was a royal beast clan after all. Fan Kuan watched the tortoises busy clearing out the corpse cave and decided to explore the spirit energy node to compare it with his canyon. This node stretched along the mountain range in a long strip. The terrain was far less enclosed than his canyon. Moreover, the spirit energy concentration here was slightly lower. The energy felt scattered and unconfined, unable to converge fully like within his canyon. That was only to be expected. When Fan Kuan chose his own spirit energy node, he had picked the most abundant one among the 9 major nodes marked on the regional ley line map. Fan Kuan was quietly pleased with his choice when a shock struck him. In a hollow section of the mountain range lay a mining area, 1 giant spirit crystal mine, plus 4 large spirit crystal mines. What on earth? Why did he not have something like this? Fan Kuan suddenly thought his own spirit energy node paled in comparison. Could his node be inferior somehow? There was no time for lamentation. Over 100 tortoise clansmen were hard at work mining the crystals. A thought roared inside Fan Kuan. All of this should be mine. Immediately, he sent Ling Ying a coordinate, telling her to empty her storage space and come at once. Shortly afterward, Ling Ying appeared beside the mining site. She stared in surprise at the tortoise clansmen lying unconscious on the ground and the 5 shimmering spirit crystal mines. Her mouth fell open slightly. Quickly store everything away, Fanning ordered without stopping to explain. Oh, okay, my lord. Ling Ying hurried toward the spirit crystal mines and stored every single one. My lord. Ling Ying was about to ask questions once she finished, but Fan Kuan raised a hand to cut her off. No questions now. We leave immediately. 2 streaks of silver light flashed, and the pair reappeared at the entrance of Fan Kuan's dwelling. Fan Kuan grabbed Ling Ying's wrist and hurried inside without delay. Ling Ying covered her mouth and looked up at Fan Kuan in shock. Why have the spirit crystal mines grown so large? Watching the mines expand after being brought into Fan Kuan's territory, Ling Ying found the sight utterly baffling. Is this a special property of your dwelling, my lord? She asked curiously. Fan Kuan met her curious gaze. Do not speak of this to anyone. Ling Ying nodded firmly, secretly delighted. She must be the first to learn about her lord's dwelling ability. Or wait, Yunxi knew first, but she was still young and did not count. Fan Kuan appeared calm on the surface, yet wild joy surged within him. 11 super, great spirit crystal mines. What a fortune! They would generate 550,000 spirit crystals every single day. He almost felt the urge to pull Ling Ying into an embrace. He suppressed the impulse and maintained his composure. Wait here for me, and keep a close eye on regional communications. I will send more coordinates soon. Come immediately once you receive the message, Fan Kuan said calmly. As you command, my lord. Fan Kuan opened the regional spirit energy node map. Silver light flashed, and he arrived on a vast grassland where endless green stretched out like an emerald ocean. The scenery was magnificent, yet Fan Kuan paid it no mind. Right where he had appeared, a Black Wolf clansman was stepping out of the stone gate of his dwelling. Black mane, amber eyes. As Qinghe of the Black Wolf clan caught sight of a flash of silver, golden light erupted, and he lost consciousness instantly. That was close. Fan Kuan dragged the unconscious wolf into the shadow beside the cave entrance, then pulled a cloth to wrap his head and hair. Ever since arriving in this apocalyptic world, Fan Kuan had grown accustomed to fighting. Still, he preferred to avoid unnecessary killing when there was no direct conflict. After finishing his simple disguise, Fan Kuan swiftly searched the surrounding area. This spirit energy node had not yet been claimed by any faction. The wolf he had encountered must have spawned here at the start of the catastrophe. A quarter of an hour later, he found his target, 2 giant spirit crystal mines and 2 large spirit crystal mines. Fan Kuan summoned Ling Ying right away. When she arrived and saw Fan Kuan's fully wrapped head, she spoke hesitantly. My lord, what is this disguise for? Fan Kuan clapped Ling Ying's shoulder, his expression solemn. You would not want your lord to gain a reputation for stealing mines, would you? Ling Ying's eyes widened in realization. Then I shall cover up too. She took out a long scarf and wrapped her head in fox ears, leaving only her bright round eyes visible. Her ability to act swiftly was impressive. Fan Kuan was about to praise her when his gaze fell upon her 7 bushy tails trailing behind her like a layered skirt. No need for extra wrapping. Collect the mines, and we return. After safely storing the spirit crystal mines, Fan Kuan rushed to the next node. Whoa, it is freezing here. As soon as he teleported over, Fan Kuan felt as if he had stepped into an ice vault. His robust physique kept him from suffering real harm, but the chill was still noticeable. This was a boundless ice plain. Wind and snow painted everything pure white. Fan Kuan walked a short distance and spotted 2 white bears chatting. Bear 1. Lord Shiba is truly formidable. He finished clearing the corpse caves on the ice plain yesterday and went to assist Lord Lingchen today. Bear 2. Indeed. I believe under Lord Shiba's leadership, our bear clan will rise to become the most powerful clan in the region. Some regional hero. Fan Kuan thought silently. Bear 1. Heard you found your mate. Bear 2. Don't mention it. She ran off with Gobi from the Brown Bear clan. Bear 1. What happened? Hearing nothing of importance, Fan Kuan blurred into motion and headed in another direction. Bear 1 and Bear 2 turned their heads at the same time. Did we just see something? Before long, Fan Kuan located the spirit crystal mines. Why are there fewer each time? He shook his head in disappointment at the 3 giant spirit crystal mines ahead. he would have traded 3 giant mines for 10 small ones. After collecting Shiba's 3 spirit crystal mines, Fan Kuan hurried onward to the next node. For mines, 5 mines, 3 mines for mines. The following 4 spirit energy nodes remained unoccupied by factions, and Fan Kuan seized all the spirit crystal mines they harbored without trouble. 16 spirit crystal mines. Excitement made Fan Kuan's eyes shine. Looking at the 34 super-grade spirit crystal mines nearly filling his mining zone, Fan Kuan almost wanted to claim he had no interest in spirit crystals at all. Keep going. More mines to collect. Silver light flickered, and Fan Kuan arrived at the final large-scale spirit energy node. Splash. Fan Kuan stepped out onto marshland, pulling his foot free from thick mud. He lifted his eyes and saw a group of centipede spirits. An elderly centipede stood on a rock addressing the others. They possessed humanoid torsos, hairless heads covered in chitin armor, and 2 antennae extending from their foreheads. Their builds were slender. They had a pair of primary human-like arms, with countless smaller limbs beneath them. Countless segmented legs supported their bodies. Fan Kuan did not bother counting. While Fan Kuan stared at the centipedes, they stared back in greater shock. After a moment, the elderly centipede atop the stone broke the silence, speaking haltingly. A cloaked royal lord? An idea formed in Fan Kuan's mind. He shouted loudly, "Lowly beast clans, darkness shall soon engulf this land. Sooner or later, all of you will perish at the hands of the Dark Clan. Glory to darkness." Having shouted the warning, he turned and fled without looking back. Once he circled behind a stretch of woodland, Fan Kuan stopped searching for more mines. He crushed his transmission scroll and returned directly to his dwelling. "My lord, you have returned so soon. Did you fail to find anything?" Ling Ying, fully covered by a black robe, asked in surprise. "Circumstances have shifted. We will continue our search elsewhere." Fan Kuan knew word of the mine heist would spread quickly. He could not risk the centipede spirits identifying a fox as the culprit. As Fan Kuan began sweeping the 18 small spirit energy nodes, the tortoise clansmen were the first to discover the loss. Lord Lingshun. Li Qing the alligator tortoise sprinted frantically into the underground cavern. "What is the matter?" Lingshun had just finished clearing corpse caves alongside Shiba and asked calmly. "My lord," Li Qing gasped, sweat dripping down his forehead. "Our 5 spirit crystal mines are all gone." "What?" Lingshun stepped forward sharply, staring straight at Li Qing. "What do you mean, gone?" Li Qing nodded helplessly. "They have vanished completely." "That cannot be." Lingshun had stationed over 100 clansmen at the mining site. Any faction attempting to seize the mines would have triggered a massive commotion. Besides, these were giant and large spirit crystal mines. Who could possibly store them all away? "It is true, my lord." Li Qing was close to despair. He had previously managed resource collection for the clan. After joining Cloud Floating Palace, Lingshun appointed him supervisor of the mines. Now, every last mine had disappeared. Where are the more than 100 clansmen from the mining area? Lingshun looked utterly incredulous. "The clansmen are still alive. They've just been knocked unconscious." Li Qing hung his head low. "All of them were knocked out." Lingshun fixed Li Qing with a scrutinizing gaze. "Then why weren't you?" I happened to be out." Li Qing bowed his head even lower. "Speak." Lingshun had not lost his temper like this in a long time. Li Qing dropped straight to his knees. "My lord, I deserve punishment. I had gone to the cave dwelling of Chu Gui, the azure shell tortoise, at that time." "Useless fool." Lingshun ignored Li Qing and sprinted straight toward the mine. When he reached the mining site, he saw his clansmen, each with a large bump on their head, and the empty mine workings. Lingshun roared in rage. "Damned thieves." The sight sent a chill through Shiba, who had been standing off to the side enjoying the spectacle. Why did this feel strangely familiar? News soon arrived from the ice wastes. Upon learning his own territory had also been robbed, Shiba let out an even angrier shout. "Curse those despicable thieves." Shortly after Fan Kuan departed the green grasslands, Yin Jiao of the Silver Moon Heavenly Wolf clan arrived at the location marked by Qing He, accompanied by several Black Wolf tribesmen. "Where is Qing He?" Yin Jiao swept his sharp gaze across the surroundings. The boy knew he was coming, yet he had not come out to greet him. Moments later, a subordinate of the Black Wolf clan hurried over to report. "My lord, Qing He has collapsed at the entrance of his cave dwelling." A bad premonition stirred in Yin Jiao's heart. That same night, a joint notice searching for the ore thief was posted in the regional chat group. The notice was issued jointly by 3 clans: the Azure Mystic Turtle clan, the Dark Golden Berserk Bear clan, and the Silver Moon Heavenly Wolf clan. The three clans offered a combined reward of 100,000 spirit crystals, vowing to track down the culprit. Reading the notice, Ling Ying quietly patted her chest. This was incredibly thrilling. After a full day of work, before night fell, Fan Kuan finished relocating all the energy nodes except the centipede spirit node. In total, there were 7 large-scale nodes and 18 small-scale nodes. From the 7 large nodes, he seized 28 spirit crystal mines. From the 18 small nodes, he gained 34 spirit crystal mines. Altogether, he had acquired 62 spirit crystal mines. Added to the 6 he already possessed, Fan Kuan now controlled an astonishing 68 spirit crystal mines. This was far more than a windfall. It was as if he had seized control of a massive treasure vault. Roughly half of all the spirit crystal mines discovered in the entire region were now in Fan Kuan's hands. The layout of Fan Kuan's cave dwelling had already been rearranged. Aside from essential chambers for spirit cultivation, medicinal herbs, book collection, and artifact forging, only one bedroom was reserved for the little fox. All other areas, the planting grounds, livestock pens, storage chambers, and the spirit spring pool fed by 20 converging spirit springs, had been emptied. All supplies were given to his accomplice, Ling Ying. Staring at the spirit crystal mines nearly filling his cave dwelling, and thinking of the staggering wealth of 3.4 million units of spirit crystals produced automatically each day, Fan Kuan suddenly felt an urge to clear out everything in the spirit crystal shop. Damn it, if only I could buy a 9-star cultivation manual for everyone under me. He quickly dismissed the thought as mere fantasy. A single 9-star manual cost 100 million spirit crystals. Fan Kuan checked the manual section of the spirit crystal shop. Even a 4-star manual cost 10,000 spirit crystals. He calmed himself. He needed to keep a low profile. His daily income would only afford 1 2-star manual for each of his more than 1,000 subordinates. Yet 2-star manuals were drops easily obtained from ordinary rotting corpses. They held little real value. At this moment, Fan Kuan began to understand those greedy and scrupulous, crafty and hypocritical magnates. He had never comprehended before why people who already held fortunes worth billions still strove to squeeze those struggling to scrape by. Now he saw the truth. Once an operation grew large, with countless followers relying on you, no amount of resources ever felt sufficient. Though, those magnates never intended to share their wealth in the first place. It seemed he could never become such a ruthless magnate. The very moment he gained these resources, his first thought was to distribute them to his people. The role of a leader who looks after his followers suited him far better. Fan Kuan straightened his back, his gaze clear and resolute. Exactly. After reminding Ling Ying once again never to reveal the attributes of their cave dwellings to anyone, Fan Kuan told her to make preparations for the night's gathering. He strode into the library in high spirits and spotted Lu Yunxi sitting on the stone steps, swinging her legs and idly twirling her fluffy ears. He smiled and stepped forward, speaking gently. "Why aren't you playing with the little rabbits today?" Lu Yunxi pouted. "My lord, the rabbits were given to Sister Ling Ying." "Oh, that's right." Fan Kuan suddenly remembered that the mining area had run out of space at noon, so he had Ling Ying clear out the livestock pens. "It's fine. You can go visit Sister Ling Ying to play with them from now on." Fan Kuan comforted her. "But Sister Ling Ying is always busy." Lu Yunxi had gone over at noon and knocked with no answer. She did not know Ling Ying had been waiting on duty in Fan Kuan's cave and mining area the whole time. "You can find the other elder sisters then. The other elder sisters have gone out to cultivate." Lu Yunxi drooped her head, swinging her legs faster. Well then, Fan Kuan had been about to suggest she spend the time reading to improve herself, just as Ningxia often did in her youth. The words died on his lips, and he changed course. "You could browse the regional chat and keep an eye out for any important news for me." "There is news." Lu Yunxi's eyes lit up at once. She jumped down from the stone steps. "Every race in the region, even royal clans, are posting that their mines have been stolen." As she spoke, her eyes darted subtly toward the mining area. Ahem. Fan Kuan rubbed the tip of his nose. "Information online can be true or false. Don't pay too much attention to it, lest you get misled." "Huh." Lu Yunxi looked up at him in surprise, then pointed toward the mining area. "My lord, are all these spirit crystal mines really?" "Yunxi." Fan Kuan tilted his chin upward, his gaze drifting far away. "Today I encountered a gang of bandits out in the wild. After capturing them, I confiscated these mineral resources from their possession." "Were those bandits wearing masks?" Lu Yunxi asked with a playful grin. "TCH. Even a 6-year-old little fox was hard to fool." Fan Kuan was about to launch into another explanation when Lu Yunshi suddenly asked, "My lord, why don't we have any spirit crystal mines within our canyon?" It was a sorrowful question. Fan Kuan had long found this strange. But after borrowing so many spirit crystal mines from other energy nodes today, he was certain there was something suspicious behind it all. Fan Kuan lifted his gaze toward the cave ceiling, a faint smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth. Such a massive arrangement must be the will of heaven. Yet, Fan Kuan lowered his head, a glint flickering in his eyes as he thought silently. If heaven will not grant it to me, I shall take it myself. Night fell. As the last streak of golden sunlight vanished behind the mountain ridges, orange flames sprouted across the canyon grasslands. Ling Ying, acting as the chief organizer, arranged the clansmen into groups of 10 cave dwellings apiece. Each group gathered around a bonfire. Hundreds of small flames lit up the grassland, resembling stars scattered upon the earth. Fan Kuan's seat was set on a high platform directly in front of his cave, offering an unobstructed view of the entire grassland. A long stone table stood upon the platform, laden with spirit fruits, smoked meat, and spirit wine. Behind the table rested an imposing stone throne, flanked by 2 blazing bonfires. Once all arrangements were complete, Ling Ying entered the cave to invite Fan Kuan to the feast. Fan Kuan walked slowly out of the cave, holding Lu Yunshi's hand. 10 fox women of 3-star bloodline lined up on both sides, bowing their heads to welcome him. At Fan Kuan's appearance, all the beast folk seated around the bonfires rose and turned their eyes toward the figure on the high platform. He possessed a tall, well-proportioned frame and peerlessly handsome features. Silver hair glowed in the firelight, and icy blue eyes shimmered with divine radiance beneath the moonlight. The moment they laid eyes on Fan Kuan, all the beast folk let out roars mixing excitement, fervor, and reverence. Rough and soft cries echoed through the canyon as they greeted the ruler they admired, the 9-tailed heavenly fox. Fan Kuan raised his wine cup, his cool gaze sweeping across the crowd below, and shouted, "May the beast folk thrive! Glory to the Fox clan!" For the rest of the feast, Fan Kuan remained seated alone on the high platform, sampling wine and food. Well, not entirely alone. The little fox sat beside him and ate most of the dishes on the table. In the end, Fan Kuan never used that high-level speech manual. He believed the beast folk did not need a leader endlessly shouting stirring slogans. What they needed was a powerful, mysterious figure of supreme bloodline, like a god. Therefore, Fan Kuan did not descend to mingle with his people, clapping shoulders and exchanging casual banter. The feast passed easily for Fan Kuan. Ling Ying was delighted, the beast folk were exhilarated, and Yunshi was thoroughly satisfied. There was one interlude midway through. Beast folk gatherings traditionally featured either dances or martial contests. In this doomsday realm, dances were out of the question tonight, so some beast folk suggested holding duels to entertain Lord Fan Kuan. Amid the cheers and shouts of the crowd, one-on-one martial matches began. Fan Kuan watched the Fox clansmen fight and felt genuine surprise at their ferocity. Influenced by old tales from Blue Star, he had always assumed Fox clans favored strategy over fierce head-on combat, at least compared to bear and tiger clans, not ordinary humans. The fighters taking part were only 6th and 7th order foxes, far weaker than Fan Kuan. Still, they traded brutal, full-strength blows, striking with the intent to overpower their opponents completely. Fan Kuan's impression of the race shifted greatly. After several matches between adult foxes, someone suggested letting the young fox cubs compete so the heavenly fox lord could witness who among them was the bravest youth. The words pulled Lu Yunshi away from the pork trotter she had been devouring. She lifted her head and wiped the grease from her mouth with the back of her hand, asking, "My lord, can I join?" Fan Kuan glanced at the other young foxes standing up to enter the arena, then looked back at Yunshi. "They all seem older than you." "It does not matter." Lu Yunshi tossed down the pork trotter and stood tall, speaking boldly. "I can win." With Fan Kuan's approval, Lu Yunshi charged down from the high platform as if riding wind. The duel began. Lu Yunshi fought against Yunfeng, an 8-year-old azure fox. Lu Yunshi glanced upward at Fan Kuan watching her, then turned to face her rival. Her eyes narrowed, and a fierce smile curved her lips. "Come, only the strong deserve to stand beside my lord." Lu Yunshi threw one punch and sent her opponent flying. 2 hours later, the feast ended amid thunderous cheers from the beast folk. Ling Ying walked lightly up the high path toward the platform, wearing a white robe embroidered with cloud patterns prepared specially for the gathering. Moonlight fell upon her fair skin. Strands of flowing hair stirred in the breeze. Her lips were bright as fire, her dark eyes clear as crystal. At this moment, Ling Ying looked like an immortal maiden who had descended to visit a deity seated atop the mountain. "My lord." Ling Ying's voice was soft. Fan Kuan slowly set down his wine cup, dragging his gaze away. He lowered his eyes slightly to hide his momentary distraction. "What is it?" Ling Ying suppressed a smile. "My lord, I have reports on the gains the clansmen brought back today." "Very well." Fan Kuan looked at the light screen for a long while before speaking. "We no longer lack spirit crystals. Our top priority moving forward is to finish supplying resources for constructing the city core. That means collecting blood chi orbs will be our primary focus. Of course, inform me immediately if any new spirit crystal mines are discovered. You may handle all other minerals and supplies at your discretion." Fan Kuan stood and gazed out over the grasslands below. "I look forward to seeing how our canyon changes once we upgrade to a small city." "Understood." Ling Ying bowed slightly. "Yours will be the first territory upgraded to a small city." Fan Kuan turned his head toward her, a faint smile on his lips. The young woman was not only capable, but also knew how to speak well. Fan Kuan reflected that he had been fortunate since arriving in the Doomsday Realm. The three individuals he had met were all exceptional. The first was Xiao Yin, who had helped him survive the harsh early days. The second was the young girl Lu Yunxi, who brought warmth to his monotonous life. The third was Ling Ying standing before him, beautiful, wise, loyal, an outstanding right-hand partner. Midnight draws near. Let us wait here together for the second heavenly calamity to descend. "As you wish, my lord." As midnight arrived, light screens appeared simultaneously on Fan Kuan and Ling Ying's wrists. The second heavenly calamity is approaching. It will last 10 days. Brave souls, endure the scorching trial. It shall forge your strength. The second layer of the rotting corpse cavern has opened. Go forth and fight bravely. Fan Kuan read the notification. Every pre-calamity regional announcement carried a stirring tone. He could not help thinking the line, "Go forth and fight bravely," had an unspoken addendum. May the beast folk thrive. Right after the message appeared, 10 giant suns rose abruptly in the silent night sky. Blinding light illuminated the heavens, and scorching heat waves rolled down from above. Hot. Unbearably hot. Though not quite as extreme as he had imagined. It was not because Fan Kuan's cultivation had advanced. The actual temperature hovered somewhere between 60 and 70 degrees Celsius. Such temperatures could be found in certain deserts on Blue Star every year. Fan Kuan mused that many people from arid regions would merely shrug at this calamity. Staring at the 10 suns arranged in a ring across the sky, Fan Kuan licked his dry lips. He sensed surging fire, attributed spiritual energy filling the air, along with a stifling heat that discomforted his body, yet carried subtle benefits. He turned to Ling Ying. "Can you endure it?" Ling Ying raised a hand to shield her eyes and nodded. "I can manage. The light is harsh, and my stamina drains rapidly, even standing still." Region 68, one of the zones occupied by Blue Star humans. Regional notice: the second heavenly calamity approaches. It will last 10 days. Rotting corpses are corrupted undead. Exercise caution. Warning: rotting corpses grow extremely violent at night. Remain inside your shelters if possible. The message appeared. Deep rumbling echoed from beneath the earth, and the distant roars of rotting corpses drifted over. Fellow compatriots, does anyone hear strange noises? Yeah, shuffling footsteps. It sounds like a horde of rotting corpses right outside my shelter. I hear them too. Those monsters' howls are terrifying. Newbies in the comments, stop panicking. I've been waiting for them to emerge. I'm heading out now to slay corpses and level up. Wait for news of my victory. That fool can't even tell rotting corpses apart from ordinary zombies. The regional notice clearly warned they turn violent at night. I doubt we'll hear from him again. Fan Tianji checked the walls surrounding his manor, then blocked the main gate with massive boulders. He typed breathlessly into the chat. "Old girl, do not step outside no matter what happens tonight." "Ningxia, I am not foolish. Why would I go out now?" Fan Tianji muttered quietly. "You are not foolish, but far too reckless. Old girl, have you thought about what I mentioned yesterday?" "Ningxia, no need to rush. We both own level 5 shelters and intermediate manors. The walls are tall, rotting corpses cannot fly over them." Fan Tianji, "But if we join a faction, all our manors can be gathered together. Safety would be much higher." Ningxia, "Safety would improve, yet look at the constant arguments in regional chat. Faction leaders scamming resources, exploiting members, all kinds of troublemakers. Worst of all, membership is permanent with no right to withdraw. The terms are far too harsh." Fan Tianji, "The rules are strict, but the Hong Alliance, I found supposedly has backing from Blue Star's official forces. It should be more legitimate. Ningxia, legitimate nonsense. I've made inquiries. The faction leader used to be a neighborhood administrator. He looks untrustworthy. If I ever join a faction, it will be Ling Shuang's Qingyi Palace. At the very least, a woman will not target other women. Fan Tianji thought silently. She may not target women, but I have heard she deceives male members. Very well. I will listen to you. Make your decision soon so we do not keep worrying every day. I wonder how Kuan is doing. Ningxia, stop sighing all the time. Kuan is surely doing well. He might even be a faction leader by now. Purple lightning flickered. Icy blue sword light flashed on and off. The 7-star combat technique divine sword summoning thunder, forged from fused water, fire, and metal spiritual energy, cut brilliant streaks through the dark night. Cold sword light reflected the pale moon. Frost clung to the cloud, reaching blade. Ling Shuang glanced at the piles of corpses filling the stream, disgust flashing in her eyes. She lifted her gaze toward the horde of rotting corpses advancing upstream. Killing intent thickened around her form. The moon was cold, the sword was cold, and colder still was the woman wielding it. Fan Kuan shuddered. Cold. Unimaginably cold. That was his first sensation after entering the rotting corpse cavern. After seeing the announcement that the second layer had opened, Fan Kuan exchanged a few brief words with Ling Ying and rushed straight to the cavern within the canyon. To stay safe, he did not bring Ling Ying along for this first exploration. She waited for news outside the cave entrance. Deep inside the first cavern, a huge black opening had collapsed into existence at the center. Gray, black currents carrying piercing cold drifted endlessly upward from the chasm. Is the second layer of the rotting corpse cavern a frigid zone? 10 blazing suns hang above ground, yet down here it is freezing. Fan Kuan shifted to the edge of the opening and leaned forward to peer down. Damn it! Thick fog blanketed everything below. He could not see a thing. Fan Kuan almost wished he could shout down into the depths. People down there. You are completely surrounded. Surrender and come out at once. Roar. A growl echoed upward from below. If they refused to yield, he would send them to destruction once more. Golden light surged beneath his feet, and Fan Kuan descended to the bottom of the chasm. Splash. His foot landed in a puddle. He raised his head and spotted several hundred muscular men with gray, blue skin and dark red whiskers not far away. They were constructing something resembling a formation. Muscular brutes with haggard faces and black lights swirling in their eye sockets were clearly startled by Fan Kuan's sudden appearance. None of them expected any living being to jump down voluntarily. Shock aside, the brutes had no intention of sitting down to talk with Fan Kuan. Waving their tools, they charged toward him in a thunderous mob. Fan Kuan showed them no mercy. Gripping the Dawn Spear, he unleashed the Radiant Flame combat art. The muscular brutes were instantly sent flying, smashed hard against the walls one after another. Bang, bang, bang. In less than 20 minutes, hundreds of brutes were defeated before they could reach the spring, leaving nothing but glowing orbs scattered across the ground. Fan Kuan held the spear upside down and scratched the tip of his nose, cold glint flickering in his eyes. TCH, not a single worthy opponent among them. His thought had barely finished when hundreds more muscular brutes trudged over from afar, hauling materials. Among these new monsters was not only the brutes, but also an ox demon wielding an iron trident. It bore 2 horns atop its head, flared nostrils, and eyes as large as bronze bells. Could this be an ox clansman? Fan Kuan had never met members of the ox clan in this region, but he had seen their clansmen speak in the regional chat. They acted arrogant and overbearing, as if they themselves were the royal clan. Fan Kuan was about to open his mouth to ask questions when the ox demon spotted the body strewn across the ground and roared first. You damned brat. Warm steam billowed from the ox demon's nostrils as it pointed its iron trident forward. You damned brat. Where did you come from? Why did you kill my labor thralls? Damn, I'm from the Blue Star. Just who do you think you are? Beast race. 9-tailed heavenly fox. Fan Kuan replied with a stern expression. Beast race. The ox demon was caught off guard for a moment. Fan Kuan pressed on. And where did you crawl out of? The ox demon puffed out its chest. I'm Sha Chong of the Sea Ox clan. Huh, you seem rather proud of that name. Wait a minute. This ox actually has a proper name. Even the first floor's boss, the Dark Sheet Demon, could not recall her own name. There was something strange about this ox. Sha Chong suddenly realized something, and delight spread across its face. You're a being from the upper level. Ha. None of us have managed to climb up yet, and you've come down to us of your own accord. That saves me the trouble of going to find you. If I devour your flesh, I can complete my transformation. Wanting to eat my flesh. You take me for Tang Monk? I can't recite scriptures, but I know a thing or two about fighting. Seize him. Sha Chong swung its iron trident hard and charged at Fan Kuan with its labor thralls. 20 minutes later, hundreds of labor thralls lay defeated once more. Sha Chong's iron trident shattered into 5 pieces, and its massive ox head was pinned beneath Fan Kuan's foot. Sir, let's talk this through peacefully. Sha Chong struggled to open its ox eyes, quickly choosing to beg for mercy, cursing fiercely at the start and groveling for mercy after being beaten. Is this the integrity of your Sea Ox clan? Still, this ox possessed decent strength, roughly equivalent to a 5 or 6 star beast race cultivator at the first tier of the transcending mortality realm, with around 200,000 vital energy. It far outmatched those brute labor thralls. I will ask, and you will answer. Do you understand? Fan Kuan looked down at it sideways. I understand. Sha Chong blinked rapidly. Name? Sha Chong. Your real name. It's Sha Chong. Damn, that really was its name. Fan Kuan rubbed his nose. Race. Sea Ox clan. Where do you come from? Where do I come from? Sha Chong froze. I'm asking you. Fan Kuan pressed his foot down harder. My skull's going to crack. Spare me, sir. Sha Chong pushed against Fan Kuan's foot and shouted. Where do you come from? Fan Kuan repeated the question. I. Sha Chong thought hard, then answered helplessly. Sir, I truly don't know. You refuse to talk? Fan Kuan increased the pressure on his foot. See, sir. Sha Chong could barely draw breath. Fan Kuan eased up slightly. Sha Chong gasped heavily. Sir, I really don't know where I originated. All I know is that shortly after I woke up, my clan lord ordered me to repair the transmission array. Your clan lord? Fan Kuan muttered quietly, then asked. You only just woke up? How did you know he was your lord? Because, Sha Chong's gaze wandered awkwardly. He knocked me flat with one punch. So leadership was established by strength. Then how do you remember your name? Sha Chong's eyes lit up, thinking it had found what the human wanted to hear. The clan lord gave it to me. He named you? It wasn't knowledge already in your mind. Sha Chong shrank its neck and nodded. Yes, right after I got to my feet, he told me to repair the transmission array and said, from now on, you shall be called Sha Chong. Ugh, what a letdown. I thought you retained memories of your past. Does your clan lord remember his past? Fan Kuan asked again. I think he does. Sha Chong pondered and replied. Good. It was worth coming down here personally. Fan Kuan hauled Sha Chong to its feet. Lead the way ahead. Right away. Sha Chong rubbed its broken teeth and forced a smile. Fan Kuan followed Sha Chong along the path. The second floor of the corrupted corpse region was practically an independent underground world. The first floor had merely been a cave the size of 2 plazas, nothing compared to this place. The vertical distance between this floor and the one above was roughly 1,000 meters, dotted with low rolling hills. On the way to the clan territory, Fan Kuan saw countless labor thralls mining along the roadside. The thralls all showed fierce hostility toward Fan Kuan, yet acted extremely deferential when they spotted Sha Chong beside him. They traveled for nearly half an hour before finally arriving at Sha Chong's clan territory. This is your clan? Fan Kuan pointed toward the stretch of ruins ahead. The ruins had once been a palace. Broken stone pillars and crumbling walls silently told of history buried deep within the flow of time. Yes, sir. Sha Chong nodded vigorously, afraid of angering Fan Kuan. Fan Kuan scanned the surroundings. Is your clan lord here? He should be. Let's go inside. They wandered through the shattered palace for several minutes until the human and ox reached an abandoned imperial chamber. It was identifiable as a chamber because a large stone bed stood within. At that moment, the bed creaked under weight. A male ox and a female ox were locked in fierce combat. The female ox, on the losing side, spotted the 2 intruders and let out startled moos. Fan Kuan pointed at the pair in surprise, and Sha Chong stared back in total bewilderment. The male ox finally noticed the newcomers. It twisted its head toward Sha Chong. Sha Chong, why have you returned? I sent you to fix the cross-region transmission array. It then caught sight of Fan Kuan beside him, and its eyes brightened. Haha, Sha Chong. Is this the tribute you've brought me? Perfect. The male ox leaped off the stone bed. Standing nearly 2.5 meters tall, it loomed imposingly as it strode up to Fan Kuan. Fan Kuan hastily stepped backward, keeping his guard up. Little guy, trying to run. The male ox let out a low laugh. Ox Lord, may I ask your name? Fan Kuan folded his fists, choosing to try negotiation first before resorting to force. My name. The male ox paused, then waved a hand dismissively. You can call me Lord. Lord, huh? Quite the naming sense. He named his subordinate Sha Chong and called himself Lord. Fan Kuan smiled and bowed slightly. Lord, Might I know your given name? Quit pestering me with questions. The male ox grew impatient and turned toward the female ox. Go boil water and get ready to prepare a feast. The female ox slowly rose from the stone bed and adjusted its armor while sizing Fan Kuan up and down. After stepping onto the ground, it slowly swept its tongue across its lips. Lord, that female ox seems eager for a meal. Fan Kuan clicked his tongue. Isn't she always? The male ox replied instantly, then snapped at her. Hurry along, you restless one. Humph. You called me sweet nothings just now, and now you're ordering me around. The female ox wore a look of grievance. Fan Kuan eyed the female ox curiously, wondering if it had come from the blue star in a past life. What are you staring at? The female ox huffed and stormed outside. Very well, Lord. Can we discuss serious matters now? Fan Kuan got back to the point. Serious matters? The male ox looked confused. Enough chatter. It reached out to grab Fan Kuan. Why was no one willing to cooperate peacefully? Did they always need to be beaten into submission? Bang, bang, bang. 5 minutes later, the chamber collapsed, and the male ox was pinned beneath Fan Kuan's foot. Hearing the commotion, the female ox charged back and carrying a huge iron pot. She froze for a second at the sight before her and let out a loud bellow. That roar could shake mountains. Silence. Squat in the corner with your hooves on your head. Fan Kuan shouted. The female ox dropped the pot with a bang and hurried to squat in the corner, nervously adjusting her armor as she crouched. Fan Kuan leaned down to look at the male ox, whose face was squashed out of shape. Will you talk now? Spare my life, sir. The male ox cried out. Did every member of the Sea Ox clan resort to begging for mercy when defeated? What is your name? Fan Kuan asked. You can call me whatever you wish. The male ox was desperate to survive. This was exhausting. Fan Kuan massaged the space between his brows. I want your real name. My real name. The male ox sank into thought, falling completely still. Fan Kuan leaned back slightly, worried it might lose consciousness. After a full minute of silence, the male ox seemed to snap out of its daze. Its gaze turned distant. I am Gongsun Cho. Truly fitting for such an ugly brute. Fan Kuan narrowed his eyes, sensing the ox was not lying. He asked again, Where do you come from? Right here. Gongsun Cho answered without hesitation. I mean where you were born, where you lived originally. I don't know. Gongsun Cho stared blankly with its ox eyes. Think carefully. Fan Kuan turned toward the female ox. You too. Try to recall. The female ox shuddered and nodded weakly. A long while passed. Even after Gongsun Cho's face was swollen twice its original size from being pinned, he could offer no answer. Fan Kuan looked at the female ox, who shook her head to signal she knew nothing either. What is your name? Fan Kuan pointed at the female ox. The female ox stared blankly at him. Her simple mind could not understand why this handsome human was so insistent on learning everyone's name. All that mattered was that she was strong and capable of hard labor. Afraid Fan Kuan would stomp her, she tried to come up with a name. I am Mu Sun Liang. Thud. Fan Kuan instantly moved forward and kicked the female ox out of the chamber. Fan Kuan walked over and sat down on the stone bed. He ordered Sha Chong to retrieve the female ox, then turned back to Gongsun Cho. Lord, are there only 3 of you in this clan? Gongsun Cho pushed himself up and knelt halfway. There are 3 more clansmen. I sent them out to gather materials. Why do you know you need materials to build a transmission array? Fan Kuan stared straight at him. And how could you tell what kind of being I am? I just know. Gongsun Cho scratched his head. Noticing Fan Kuan's sharp gaze, he quickly added, All this knowledge appeared in my mind the moment I woke up. I don't understand why. Then why do you remember your own name, while they do not? Fan Kuan gestured toward Sha Chong and the female ox, who knelt obediently in a line. Perhaps, because I am stronger than them. Gongsun Cho sounded faintly confident. Is that so? Fan Kuan turned to the 2 oxen. Sha Chong nodded. That seems to be the case. The female ox adjusted her armor and spoke in a shrill voice. Indeed, I am far weaker. Fan Kuan shuddered and shouted at the female ox. Fix your armor properly. Fan Kuan lowered his head and pondered. Judging from what the 3 oxen said, the stronger one's cultivation, the more memories they retained. It seemed he would need to seek out the second floor's guardian boss for answers. Where is your superior? Fan Kuan asked the 3 oxen. Sha Chong and the female ox turned toward Gongsun Cho. Gongsun Cho looked delighted, as if he knew the answer. Lord Demon Ox resides in Dark City. What breed is Demon Ox? The ruler of the Sea Ox clan. Lead the way. The human and 3 oxen departed the ruined palace and set off for Dark City. Fan Kuan had no intention of letting these valuable sources of experience escape. All these Sea Ox clansmen possessed high vital energy, and the glowing orbs they dropped upon defeat would surely be high-grade. If he had executed Sha Chong and the female ox on the spot, Gong Sun Cho would likely have been too terrified to lead the way. That was why Fan Kuan brought along these captives. After crossing a barren black plain, a stone city built against a mountain came into view. It was remarkable to see an actual city. Fan Kuan had only seen such structures in videos back on the Blue Star. This was the first city he had laid eyes on in the endless wasteland. Yet there was not a single human within the city. Every inhabitant was an ox. Fan Kuan's arrival drew the attention of all the Sea Ox clansmen in the city. They stared at him like they were observing a rare treasure, and the sound of swallowing saliva could be heard now and then. Make way, make way. This is tribute being delivered to Lord Demon Ox. Gong Sun Cho shouted while stealing nervous glances at Fan Kuan. He had already discussed this cover story with Fan Kuan along the journey, and Fan Kuan had agreed to it. Even so, he feared the so-called tribute might lose his temper and blast his head apart at any moment. Fan Kuan calmly observed his surroundings, occasionally pausing to glance into buildings that resembled shops, where oxen could be heard shouting as they traded goods.